We are live.
So like I said, if they want to see me more than the comics, I'll take my dick out right now.
Boom!
Just show it to them.
100 likes. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. 100 likes,
They
100
have-
dick punches for 60 seconds.
They said
I up the ante again. 100 dick punches in 60 seconds now.
you're not gonna go through with that. So I don't know why you're offering that.
Why not?
That sounds silly as shit.
It is.
You're not gonna
It is.
put yourself in the
I couldn't do it.
No, we can't.
I couldn't bring
we
myself
can't be
to do it.
co-signing that.
No, of course not. That's horrible. Don't be doing that.
But with consent and through demand, I will show it.
Popular demand.
Popular demand. Well, yeah,
Sure.
not through
Consent and popular
right.
demand.
Consent
There's
and
been
popular
whole
demand.
studies.
Right, absolutely.
Right, all that good stuff.
People have been asking about these sales, like why we're not doing more. So I don't know. We got the website then.
Right, we got the website in.
We want to still come and show up and talk and be engaged and speak with the community. It's just we've got a lot of personal life obligations, and the website is a place where we can have thousands and thousands of books.
Yeah, you can go at your own
Priced,
time.
and you can go at your own time, right? You don't have to. So, like, we want to give people what they want in the way of the show or some semblance of the show. But I mean, I could sit here and scroll through the website and show you way more books than I could walk around and reload the walls.
Oh, absolutely. You can only got
So,
70 books up at a time.
When people ask about that, it's like, yo, I think that's a big part of it, is that the website is a place where people can go and do that. And if you've got questions about something, you guys know where to get a hold of us. Like,
Oh, well, of course.
easy to get a hold of.
Don't ever
Yeah.
say we're not going to do a live sale again or anything like that. Just for right now, we're just doing something a little different. We got the website going. We're going to be doing the shows. We're going to do the YouTubes.
Right, because there are a lot of people that just don't use certain platforms, whether it be Facebook or YouTube or wherever else, but they still shop on the internet. The internet as a whole, right? So I mean,
It's a pretty big place out
we
there.
still want to be able to serve everybody. Oh, did we spill?
No, it didn't spill.
Saved. Look
Yeah,
at that.
look at that.
2 days in a row without a coffee disaster.
No, that's impressive.
So we want to. So for people who are wondering about the live sales, I think that's kind of
What's up, Trevor Ware?
first and foremost, is that we just want to make sure that we don't want to be hammering sales constantly.
No.
We think the .com is a great place for people to go who want to buy books, because if you want to buy books, you shop on your time, at your leisure. If you
Exactly.
have questions, we're here.
Yeah.
Y'all know us.
Exactly.
We've got the track record. I don't think there's a whole lot of discrepancy on if we say something that if what we say is.
No, quality's still the same. We're still the same.
But then
It's
when
just-
we're here, we're not just hammering sales, showing you stuff like.
Right, we can actually engage with you guys, sit down, have a conversation, take some questions, answer some questions.
Me and you purposely make lists of things that me and you want to talk to each other about, and then we're like, don't. Just save it and we'll talk, because like it's funnier.
Yes.
Yeah, because I like the engagement more than I like the sales. Sales are fine, but like sales aren't everything. Like,
Right, but engagement
the book is the
funny.
book. We talked about these as assets yesterday.
We did a little bit. We touched on that.
And I mean, the book is the book. That Conan's not going down. It's not going anywhere. Like,
No.
so whether I have it in book form or cash form, like, it's a nice dressing piece. It's not prudent to have to like expedite it.
No,
right
it's,
this
it's
moment.
definitely a nice set piece. It's something we can look at. It is art, after all. It's 50-some plus years old, and like
A
that's
lot
from
of
the
this,
old
and this
time.
is a pretty fun wall to sit beside.
Oh, absolutely!
Like,
it gets the bubbles you.
I don't have a lot of,
imagination
and
juices.
we can change this up to almost anything.
Oh,
So
for
for
sure.
people who wonder about the sales, then yeah, I don't know. We want to have.
So JMS.
We want to have what's going on, people. We want to have what people would say are the sales part of the business to be things that aren't so intrusive, that aren't just constantly clobbering you over the head.
Right.
This part can be a little bit more humanizing, where like we are still just like two guys that like do this. We're not.
Hold each other's hands, walk
Right,
on the beach.
right. There's a lot of like dick cupping and right,
course,
but
a lot
it's
of
like
cheating.
again consent.
Of-
Right,
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 consenting adults.
right.
That's good. You know, we're both on the same page.
And the positive
Sober.
feedback. Right, yeah, exactly. Sober occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where the live sale thing rests at. for people who
We're wondering.
For the two
Right.
people watch at any point in time during this time. But I don't know. I like this better, so fuck it. I can sell books some other way and not have to just be jumping around. You don't have to be jumping around just constantly doling books out like
spinach.
If you like us, you know where to go buy books.
Absolutely.
And you know that you can trust us for what we say. And if you, like I said, you got questions, you know where to ask it. So BigBeaverComics.com, Big Beaver Comics,
Check us
Instagram,
out, baby.
Facebook, all that shit. That's that shit about that shit.
So how's your Sunday going?
Sunday's good. I feel like a week removed from our talk last Sunday when I was talking about how the Knicks might be the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Ooh, do you still feel that way, that they are the best team?
Or one of the best teams, at least. I definitely didn't.
Well,
think
let's
they were
not
better
quote
than-
you on that.
I didn't say they were better than Milwaukee or Boston or Philly, but one of the best teams, right, in the Eastern Conference. Then Brunson got hurt, basically, I think Sunday night he might have got hurt. He came out of the one game, and then they've lost 3 in a row, and they look completely wrecked now. Like, Julius Randle isn't putting up the points that he was. Like, just Brunson makes such a huge difference on that roster that losing just him has taken the Knicks to an area that's just not, it's not feasible, it looks like, for them to be playoff competitive. Because we talked about this yesterday with the West. Was this yesterday? It was yesterday, early in the day. We talked about this, that like, it's just not feasible for like a team that has their big guy go out with an injury and then go into the playoffs and expect you're gonna really do anything. Like maybe you have like some fairy tale first round where you beat some team you shouldn't beat without your star. But if he's not there in the deep round, bro, you're not going anywhere. Like it's just not happening in the NBA. Like, stars are mad difference makers. Like it's not gonna be feasible. So Brunson, clearly a huge part for the Knicks because 3 games out, 3 straight losses. Knicks go from looking like potentially the number 4 best team in the East instead of Cleveland to now, man, I'm not even sure if they're the 5th best team.
No, I believe they jumped down to the 6th slot when the Nets took them over for the 5th.
Nets did. Nets are playing so good since moving Durant still.
Well, they moved up.
They're not
yesterday
playing, okay, they're
overnight.
not playing so good, but like they're playing relatively well. Like it's surprising to see the guys for the Nets that have really stepped it up that I don't think a lot of people expected. Like I don't think a lot of people expected Cam Thomas to get these. I don't think a lot of people expected these guys that were going to step into positions that were being filled by guys who were going to the Hall of Fame. Durant, Irving, right? And last year, Harden. And to not have, it's not working out with Simmons. It's not because Ben Simmons is working. It's just because the Nets seem to, everybody's maybe bought into the fact that these guys were the castaways for the Hall of Famers, right? The Dinwiddies and all these guys feel like they were kind of just, they were a part of these giant parcels that were given up for one guy that the whole world felt was better than them. And these guys have gone into the Nets with maybe a bit of a chip on their shoulder, something to prove a little bit. And they've gelled quickly and they look capable. And it's not that, and that's, I guess maybe the funny thing is like, I think looking at the trades around the deadline when the 2 big trades with the Nets happened, like this year, obviously not the Harden one last year because that doesn't work out with Simmons, but the Irving and the Durant trades this year, I think as we looked at those and we thought, that's great for Phoenix, that's great for Dallas, which it hasn't really been great for Dallas, it hasn't been great for Phoenix either because Durant's out, but we never thought of like all the pieces coming back the other way, that how they were going to impact the Nets because none of them were all-stars. They were all just utility guys, but it was a grip of dudes. It wasn't just draft picks. It was a grip of guys that they brought back. And like Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, all these dudes, it seems like they're making Mikal Bridges. It seems like they're making ridiculous strides in Brooklyn that are impressive, super duper impressive. So the Nets overtaking the Knicks is not horribly surprising.
No, it's not so
for
far-fetched.
5th. But I wouldn't have told you that last week that it was going to happen.
No, kind of surprising.
Super discounting how good this Nets team actually is gelling.
Yeah.
Like with a bunch of utility guys. Like let's not call these guys like a bunch of perennial all-stars. You moved out of the 2 perennial all-stars in Irving and Durant, and you brought in Bridget, all these guys. You brought in these other guys, and they're great pieces. But I don't think anybody expected them to be still contending at the level that they're contending right now. So good. And then Brunson, no one expected him obviously to be hurt last week when we talked about this. But affected by that injury, to say the least, is the New York Knicks. Because the Knicks have, 5th to 6th, 6th to God knows where with 12 games left, depending on how quick Brunson is back or if he's back at all.
Well, only time will tell, I guess.
Only time will
tell.
tell.
We'll have to see. What is your take on the Bucks? Do you think they have what it takes to keep their first position?
Oh yeah, okay. You want to talk Eastern Conference? I guess entirely. Like
might as well. We're kind of on the subject.
We did this West yesterday, so we'll talk the East. And Lakers tonight, by the way. Lakers playing well. Lakers tonight. I don't know. Are we going to be able to? We've got some stuff going on. D'Angelo Russell came back the other night. Looked good. AD looks good, doing a bunch of different stuff, not having to be the guy, just number 1 guy with the ball. Like a lot of these guys that we brought in, and that's with no LeBron. So we'll see. I was about to say he's still hurt. That's with no LeBron. So we'll see Lakers tonight. Lakers got a big game going on against. Is it the Knicks? It might be the Knicks.
Oh damn!
It might be the Knicks who have no Brunson. Ooh, so it might be one of those ones where they've got their star, obviously, because it's not Randall. Because the minute Brunson went out, Randall just fell off the board. So the minute Randall's getting the A1 defensive attention and Brunson's not getting at least a piece of that, Randall's point production per game looks like it just dissipates. Because the last 3 games, it's not like they've played in games where like it's been super cool. They've been getting beat in game by a 5-point beat.
That's a beat,
they're not looking like the Knicks of the 9-game winning streak from last week.
Ouch, that's gotta hurt them. What about
Bucks is what you want to know.
Yeah,
you want to talk Bucks. I guess what is there to say in the East or even in the West for the Bucks? I mean, Middleton's come back, but Middleton hasn't put up the points that we're used to for Chris Middleton, averaging like low double-digit points per game. So like. But Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis Jr., Giannis, Drew, obviously, Holiday. Bucks probably win the championship. But, if you're picking right now, if you've got to go with the team that's got to be the best odds, would be Bucks probably win the championship.
Best odds, just to keep in mind.
Right, write that down. Right. I'm not a great gambler, though, so who knows what could happen, right? One injury, Giannis goes down, Drew goes down. But Middleton hasn't come back the way we're used to seeing Chris Middleton. I'm not sure if he's ever going to return to form or not. I mean, basketball is one of those really finicky ones. It's almost like a running back in football where like once you kind of deviate from being at the very top, it seems to be a real precipitous fall to the bottom.
Oh yeah.
There's no real like there's no real plateaus. Like there's always young guys with no wear and tear on their knees and stuff like nipping at your heels, right? Like so you're gonna have to put up with that regular. Basketball's a lot like that too. So Middleton might not ever come back to the form that he was ever in. But Giannis obviously top form, Drew still top form. Brooks, like I said, Brooks Lopez, Bobby Portis Jr., a lot of guys, great set pieces for the Bucks. Giannis, probably the most dominant, individually dominant offensive player, at least in the league. So Bucks first place for a reason, going to win the championship. So that's what I think of the Bucks.
How do you think the Celtics are doing? Do you think they can stay in second place, or do you think the 76ers got a chance to take that spot for second?
Okay, so my pick at the beginning, I guess, that's a good way to do this, is to talk about these two in a bundle. I actually like that. My pick at the beginning of the season to win the championship, and I would still stick with this as an emotional pick, not as like I'm saying my most logical pick, which would be the Bucks, would be the 76ers. I think Embiid, Maxey, and Harden are going to, but Tobias Harris is going to buckle down. 76ers are going to beat everybody if they're healthy, because Embiid is maybe the most dominant player in the game. It might not be Giannis, it might not be Jokic, it might be Embiid, and everybody might be sleeping on him, and Philly might go into the playoffs this year. And you might just see Embiid not he might not take anything lightly, because I think that's kind of what he's been known for in the past. Is like Philly goes in, he's really good. There's a lot of guys that are good, but like they just can't seem to, for a guy who's supposed to be in the MVP conversation, really have these like difference-making series outcomes where he just goes in and smokes some team 4-0, and it's just like, whoa, this guy like really is that. And I think this year's that year. I think we saw that year for Giannis a few years ago when he finally won the championship. I think we saw some of that last year with Tatum and Brown for Boston, who I still think are probably a good number 2. I don't think they're probably going to win the championship. I just don't see it. I don't know why. I know a lot of people like Boston and they're second, so I'm not sure. I don't really see it. But for Philly,
close, huh?
Philly, I see it there.
It,
Philly, I think at third. I see Embiid just kind of turning it up to another level. Like this is where the legacy thing is going to come into play, because he seems like a guy that plays to win. He doesn't seem like a guy who's just playing for the bag, because Embiid's already good. He's already paid. He doesn't seem like a guy who's just playing just to try to like flex. He's actually playing because he loves the game of basketball. And I think this is like this postseason, if he goes in, Harden's healthy, Maxi's healthy, and Embiid's out there, I think Embiid kind of takes control of a series or two, and Philly surprises a lot of people. And Boston is second. Boston definitely is. On a roster-to-roster level and on a lineage from last year making the finals, I would say Boston is second. Sure, they're not Milwaukee, but I just don't see Boston getting over the hump.
No,
I could see Boston getting out of the first round for sure, but I'm not even sure I see Boston. There. I like Tatum and Brown, but I don't really know what else that team really brings to the table that I think a lot of people would be worried about. And I can name off more depth on Philly than I can on Boston. If you want to even argue that Tatum and Embiid are as equally as dominant, that Giannis is in a class of his own, but Tatum and Embiid are equally as dominant as each other. There's still more depth on the Philly team than there is on the Boston team, I think, on like a piece-by-piece basis, on a numbers basis. There's a lot more depth, a lot more robustness to the roster, especially even at the top end, Philly to Boston comparison. And then when so that way, even if you want to separate Milwaukee into, so I just don't think Boston's second. We'll see how it plays out. I think Milwaukee and Philly end up in the conference final, and I think all things being equal, if I'm allowed to have my emotions in it, I think Philadelphia beats Milwaukee. But I think if I had to bet with my wallet right now, gun to my head, fuck, I'd have to go with Milwaukee.
Oh,
it's a tough one. Well, it's a tough one. Milwaukee's so dominant, right? Like they're so dominant, but I see it in Philadelphia. I see it there. I see Embiid having this overcome, because I mean, he just gets better and better. These playoff losses year over year, they haven't deterred him. He's gotten progressively better as an individual player, and there's no doubting that he's like an A1 leader player. But I think if he really wants to prove it, which it seems like he does, with the way he plays, with the way that he perseveres, with the way that no matter he gets paid or the matter that like, they go out in the playoffs and he could like regress or pout or get fat or do all these kind of things. He doesn't. He comes back and he plays harder, he plays better. He's having the best season probably of his career now after being good for years. It's like, that tells me this guy wants to win.
Right, yes.
And you have Harden, one of the best shooters in the history of the game, one of the best playmakers, a guy who's learned to play a secondary role now, on top of like, and still being young enough to make real like problems out there. Like, he's a 10 assist a game guy, Harden, like not some bullshit. So James Harden is an amazing compliment. Tyrese Maxey can shoot. Tobias Harris does a lot of stuff out there. The Philadelphia 76ers are a team I think a lot of people are sleeping on.
Oh, okay.
Personally. That's what I think of 2 and 3.
What do you think about the fourth place standing here? The Cavaliers. Do you think the Nets overtake the Cavaliers for the fourth spot?
Another well-built team. Another like really well-built team. Like all pieces have guys that look like at one point or another in their career they could have all-star seasons or like runs as all-stars. Like obviously you've got Mitchell who's on a run as an all-star basically since his rookie season in Utah. So he's come to Cleveland and been like just a hand in glove type of a fit. It's been remarkable. Like Cleveland was a non-playoff team last year, so Cleveland looks ridiculous. Garland again looks like a guy who came out of the Zion Jaw draft. Darius Garland looks like another guy who could be a perennial all-star. You have Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. A lot of guys look like they're just Cleveland's deep, man. Cleveland's deep. I wouldn't want to play Cleveland in the first 2 rounds. Like that's who I could see Boston going down to.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Like I could see all top 4 or top. Like I could see Boston if they. Well, I don't know. How does Boston end up playing Cleveland? I guess that maybe they don't. They probably don't. I guess Boston wouldn't play Philly if the top 4 won because Cleveland would end up playing Milwaukee, right? So I'm not sure if there's really a scenario where Boston finishes 2 and they play Cleveland.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in the 4th position without Cleveland falling down a bit or Boston moving positions. But yeah, Cleveland would be a dangerous team. I wouldn't want to be the team playing them.
No,
let's put it that way, because they just got stuff everywhere, right? Jared Allen's good, Evan Mobley, like I said, Okoro's good, a lot of pieces. From last year, the Cleveland team that was fucking bummy, that like didn't make the playoffs. I'm like, like they gave up a lot for Donovan Mitchell. Like they gave up a lot, but the seamless fit has been you can't predict that. Like you can't assume that a guy just because he was good somewhere else is going to come in and potentially like not just remain as good as he was wherever you just got him from, but get better, like noticeably better, to where Donovan Mitchell has been on the outskirts, but has been in the MVP conversation all year. He's on the outskirts of the conversation, but he's been in the conversation for the MVP. He wasn't that in Utah. He was all-star level, but like MVP conversation level, top 7 player, 8 player in the league. That's pretty considerable. So Cleveland is dangerous. I wouldn't want to. No, I want to bump it. I don't want.
Don't mess with Cleveland.
That's why I wanted to see that Knicks series so bad, the Knicks and Cavs series that we talked about last week, because with Brunson in there, I think with Brunson and Grimes and Obi Toppin, there's a bunch of guys there that can really be the X factor in slowing Cleveland down and opening up that court and seeing if Randall and stuff can really do some things. But without Brunson in the lineup, the Knicks might as well fall, because that's no series at all. Cleveland would steamroll the Knicks. They would steamroll without Brunson in there. So
you don't think the Knicks have a chance to reclaim their spot from last night's loss?
Not unless Brunson. Not unless I don't know if they play the Lakers tonight. I hope they lose. If they're playing the Lakers tonight, I hope they lose.
Oh yeah.
Well, because I'm a Lakers fan.
Let's see who the Lakers are playing.
Go to the NBA thing. Just go to NBA.com. Go to games, and then go to the bottom one. This is the last game to start.
NBA.
But yeah, if they're playing the Lakers, I hope they lose tonight. But I guess it's all predicated on when Brunson comes back, right? If Jalen Brunson's back in a couple of days, then maybe the Knicks get back on track, because it doesn't look like they're lacking in the chemistry. It doesn't look like they were on any kind of fluke.
So the Lakers are playing the Knicks tonight.
Yeah, the Lakers and Knicks. That's what
Lakers and Knicks. Right. Yeah.
So no, I don't see the Knicks taking back that spot. Who was that? That's a Nets, right? That are in 5th.
The Nets are in 5th.
Nets are in 5th. Knicks have fallen to 6th now. Yeah.
Nets are against the Nuggets.
Good, bro.
Pre-game right now.
Nets are good. Yeah, Nuggets are. We've been talking about the Nuggets yesterday in the West stuff, because the Nuggets are number 1, but the Nuggets are so flip-floppy. They lose to teams that doesn't look like a team that's that dominant, that really should be that dominant, like that's got Jokic, that is a perennial MVP candidate, a 2-time reigning MVP, potentially a 3rd MVP coming this year, which I'm not 100% sure I'm super sold on him getting it. He's like 19th in scoring, like not 100% sold on Jokic being MVP so far this year, but we'll see, like 12, 14 more games to go. Denver's super unpredictable. Don't like trying to root for Denver. Don't feel like they come across to me much like Boston, where I'm not 100% sold on their playoff aspirations to go further than they've been going, because I don't know. I just don't see it there. I don't see that cutting edge.
No,
I don't see that hunger, right? I'm not saying they traded their passion for glory. I'm not saying that because that's a terrible thing to accuse somebody.
It is
because that's like a sellout thing, right? And I'm totally not saying that. I'm just saying some people turn it up to 11 and some don't, right? And some teams turn it up to 11 and some don't. So I guess we'll see. We'll see if the Cavs that look like such a well put together team, if when crunch time comes, if they can turn it up to 11. Because that's one thing I can't take away from the Celtics is that the Celtics, much like the Bucks, are definitely tried and tested in the playoffs as far as if they can turn it up. When it's time to go to 11, those guys go. And I think Philly's going to turn that dial as well this year. But we'll see if the Cavs can. Knicks without Brunson, probably not. Nets, strong team at 5 right now as far as depth goes, but no real like ace in the whole player. Like it's a lot of like real good set pieces, but not any like superstars. So like you're gonna have to sell this movie on like script and stuff. You're not getting that Nick Cage kick from the fan base.
Since Brunson's out, do you think the Heat has a chance to claim or to take the Knicks spot, possibly move up in the rankings here?
Yeah. I'm surprised actually with the Heat sometimes. Like the Heat shit the bed too. They're another really unpredictable team. I find the Heat, Clippers, Hawks, like there's a lot of these teams where you're just like, you watch some of their games, you're like, fucking lose that. Like you're noticeably better than these other teams. Cause like Butler, Hero, Adebayo, no, just maybe not good team basketball, poor execution of a plan. Maybe not adjusting when it's time to admit that something's not working. I don't know what it is with the Heat. I like Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler's a stud. And Bam Adebayo is a great secondary, and Hero can shoot the lights out. There's good players in Miami. Miami is obviously Lowry hasn't really turned out from Toronto, but Lowry's old. They shouldn't have paid him as much as they did with his old ass.
Well, good for him to get paid out that much. I would like to get paid that much.
Right, me too. Well, the average salary in the NBA is $10 million a year. That's the average.
Right. Average.
It's the highest, right. Because I would say
below minimum wage in there.
And then I would say baseball's next, because baseball's well into the millions for average salary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then hockey and football are
about even, huh?
Football's a lot of guys that make closer to league minimum than they make anywhere near the top end of salaries, that's for sure. Certain positions make a lot of money.
Right.
Hockey, the money still can get spread around to the 3 positions on forward, defenseman, or goaltender, but
basketball is the cream of the crop, though, huh?
Basketball, there's only so many players on a team. Like it's just a very small team. So I mean, you're 5 guys on the court, especially to start the game. There's a lot of money allocated to them, to say the least.
So minimum wage is telling me in the NBA it's
low. It's low. That's the average. So it's not minimum wage.
No,
that's not minimum. I'm sure minimum's below $1 million still. Because minimum is below $1 million for the NFL. Minimum below or $1 million's fucking the minimum is NHL.
That's you're still getting paid pretty good.
MLB like 700 and some thousand, 800,000. Oh yeah, you're getting paid really good. Oh yeah, crazy good.
Wow, $750K to be minimum wage.
Who is this team we were talking about? The sick Heat.
Oh, we were talking about the Heat, yes.
Right.
The Knicks.
I wouldn't be worried about them in the playoffs.
No.
If the Heat played the Cavs 4 or 5, I think the Heat gets stomped, so the Cavs will probably play the Knicks, or the Nets rather. And the Cavs will probably beat the Nets in a close series because the Nets got a lot of pieces. And then Philadelphia will probably end up playing the Heat, it sounds like, because they'll probably jump the Knicks as Brunson doesn't come back, if that's what it is. And all things remain equal with Butler and everybody healthy right now for the Heat, because the Heat win one, lose one, win one, lose one, but the Knicks look like they're kind of on a bit of a tumble. So the Heat will move up and they'll play Philly, and I think Philly will put a spanking on them in the first round, and then Knicks will fall back into in the play-in tournament. And then who's after we
got the Hawks.
Who's after the Heat? Who's in 7?
We got the Hawks.
Oh, Atlanta. Yeah, there's another win one, lose one. Can't get anything going. Lots of players.
Yeah.
DeJounte Murray, Trae Young, lots of guys. DeAndre
Some
Hunter.
good names over there, right?
Dude, lots of guys. Collins. They got a Collins.
Well, they got to get rid of Collins.
No, they're good.
Is Collins good though?
Atlanta,
Collins good?
John Collins is good. Atlanta could be really good. I don't know how they win one. I don't know how they do this. Because like I look at their team and I see like if the East is hard, the East is a hard ass conference right now. If Atlanta was in the West, Atlanta would probably be a much better team. So we'll give Atlanta a bit of a break for that, I think, because it's a real stacked conference at this point in time in the East. Because like top 3 teams in Milwaukee, Boston, and Philly are fucking deep, bro. You talk to Cavs, that's a reckless, young, like those guys look dangerous. You might be in for a decade's worth of problems with that Cavs roster if they can keep that team together. So like there's a lot of top end talent and then talent spread throughout. So like I can see why Atlanta has a tough time, but like it does seem like on the box scores when you look at stuff, Atlanta even loses to teams they should have beat.
Okay.
Where like the fuck is this? Like Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, like beat these guys. Like you guys are crazy good. Like, Trae Young's got to be. People would put him in the conversation of top 10 players in the world. I'm not sure I would, but people would.
So he snuck into that.
He's going to be in that conversation with a lot of people. He's definitely a lot of people's favorites list because the way he plays, and he's a fun player to watch. But Atlanta, again, I wouldn't. That's play-in tournament stuff.
So do you think the Raptors can play better than the Hawks here? Because the Raptors are basically at the bottom here. Are they playing like the?
I think the
Shits too?
I think the Raptors. You still got to do the play-in tournament at this point where the Raptors are. I don't know if the Raptors get a lot better or a lot worse from this position. I think they play probably around this spot for the rest of the season. But when they get into the playoffs, all things being equal, if everybody's healthy, Siakam, Anunoby, Van Vliet, Scotty Barnes, Jacob Plottl, however you say his name, the center.
Plottl Jr.?
No. It's a big white boy.
Potter.
Poeltl. We did this last week. They brought him in from San Antonio, I want to say. They had him once before and they traded him off in a thing. But like he's been playing really well. So Raptors got a lot of guys. Gary Trent Jr. They got a lot of guys. Raptors could be dangerous in the playoffs. If they get into the playoffs into an actual series, if they get through the play-in, they get into an actual series, play the Celtics or something like that, they could be fucking dangerous.
What do you think about the Bulls overtaking the Wizards?
Raptors could be super overlooked. They got a lot of stuff in a lot of positions. I don't think I'd overlook the Raptors at all.
No,
like I said, I think that was big balls at the trade deadline when everybody thought the Raptors should have broke it up, but their GM was just like, "I'm gonna keep it together. I'm gonna keep it all together." Everybody was like, "You're gonna get rid of Anunoby. You're gonna get rid of Siakam. You're gonna trade Gary Trent Jr. You're gonna trade everybody but Scotty. You're gonna trade all these guys." And they were just like, "Nope." Trade deadline passed. They made they brought a guy in. They brought that Plottl guy. They brought a guy in. Everybody was like, "What's going on?" It's like, because I think they think they got a shot. I think they literally think that they could get out of the first round if they get in there.
It's probably a little unusual, right?
They're that good. They've still got some remnants of that team that won a championship. They're that good. The Raptors have a lot of guys. They get in there against Boston. Boston starts looking a series past them, thinking they're already going to be in some barn burner series against Philly or some shit like that. If this series, they could get caught with their pants down and have the Raptors be dangerous. So the Raptors are dangerous.
What do you think about the Wizards losing to the Bulls last night? The Bulls leading up or going up in the standings.
So the Bulls are what, 9th now or 10th?
They're 10th.
The Bulls are 10th.
Yeah.
Fuck. DeRozan doesn't have a great playoff record. Levine he started rocky this season. He's been playing better. Another team they thought was going to blow it all up at the trade deadline. Levine was going places. Who else they got there? They got Vucevic. They've got obviously DeRozan. They've got Lonzo, but Lonzo's always hurt. So I mean, Bulls. they make it into the play-in, they're probably not going to win their play-in thing, I wouldn't imagine. But if they do, if like, well, let's say they get in and guys are healthy and they play a team that's a little hobbled or overlooking them potentially, they're not going to make it out in the first round. They get molly fucking whopped by whoever they play.
Ouch!
Yeah.
Molly
it
whopped.
wouldn't matter. They played Boston, if they played Philly, if they played Milwaukee, that team gets stomped.
No, yeah.
That team gets stomped. They're not that good.
No.
If they get in, that's maybe only because it seems like right around this spot here, wherever we just were, who were the team before? Raptors.
It was the Raptors
before. That was the Hawks.
Yeah.
And before that was the Heat, right?
The Heat, yeah.
It seems like there's a real precipitous fall of talent that's just happened here now.
Yeah, okay.
From the Raptors team to this.
It's the Bulls and then
Bulls
the Wizards.
Team. Right. Precipitous fall. Like I just said, it's over. So the East is now devoid of talent after we're done. We're done with that. The Raptors, because the Bulls are not anything of validity. It won't matter what happens. They can pull a miracle out of their ass in the play-in tournament. They're going to get smoked in round one. Wizards, same thing. And let's say the Wizards make it into the play-in tournament. Beal's fine. Kuzma's going to get a stupid contract in free agency this year that he fucking doesn't deserve. There's nothing else going there. Kristaps Porzingis, like they don't.
No.
Washington's garbage.
They have no wizardry behind
There's
it.
no wizardry, dude. That's wizard. That's wizard as
That's
fuck.
so wizard.
Dude, that's wizard as fuck.
Wow. Yeah, that's unfortunate
So
for the
yeah,
Wizards.
the East is, but the East is good down to the Raptors.
It's
with
pretty
a couple
decent.
really bipolar ones. Like really bipolar. Like I said, Miami, Atlanta, like really, really bipolar, where you can't even tell like what you're gonna get out of these teams night after night. Despite the rosters looking like they're put together well. Because they're very different, obviously, because I wouldn't say Atlanta has anybody that really replicates Adebayo, but obviously Jimmy doesn't have anybody to play with. It's similar to Trey and DeJounte Murray playing together. Because Adebayo does totally different stuff.
Well, Jimmy's playing by himself.
Jimmy's playing with himself. Jimmy's just smaller, so he's playing different ball, right?
Okay.
It's different kind of basketball, a different built team, different money allocated to stars in different positions and different sizes, but not they're not still consistent. I don't know what it is. I'm not too sure. Jimmy plays good. Jimmy plays good. Sounds like Seinfeld.
I know.
Right? Sounds like Seinfeld. Jimmy plays really good postseason basketball. Butler has been known for his postseason basketball. So the Heat might get their bipolarness straightened the fuck out. And they might come in fifth and give Cleveland all sorts of hell. What are they now? Seventh?
It looks like they're seventh.
They're seventh, right? But the Knicks are falling. They can't be too far back of who's fifth? The Nets. So they can't be too far back of the Nets. Knicks are falling. I could see Jimmy Butler sliding in at fifth and giving the Cavaliers all kinds of hell 4-5 in round one.
Nice. Go Butler.
Butler's crazy, but you're gonna have to get a little bit more leaning into the win column for consistency going into the playoffs here, because he's still got 12 games left. They're gonna have to make up probably at least 2 games.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's probably about 12 games, 14 games left, something like that. So that's the East.
14 games left, huh?
You know what I want to talk about the East before we're done with basketball? Is James Wiseman.
Okay.
You want to know somebody who was a bust, dude? I mean, you know this, I guess. The Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball draft. There's a guy between this, right? Edwards goes 1. James Wiseman goes 2 to the Golden State Warriors in a year where Golden State was completely just decimated with injuries and guys weren't there and they just fell off the map to come back and then win another championship. But that's neither here nor there. They drafted James Wiseman. Then LaMelo Ball goes to the Charlotte Hornets. And Wiseman was playing G League ball, Goof League, like straight Goof League. Shout out to anybody. Sorry if you
Nico.
Right? No, he didn't.
Oh no, he's in Europe. Right?
Nico plays in Italy. We love
right.
Nico.
I always think that. Sorry,
Nico Mannion, you're one of my
bad
favorites.
name.
From that same draft class too, actually. So Wiseman was playing Goof League ball. There's just no place for him in Golden State. They don't play the kind of style, I guess, he plays, because he's moved on to Detroit now, who's a team that a lot of people probably aren't paying attention to, because Detroit is an absolute bottom feeder. Kate Cunningham's been out for exponential period of time here now this season and not going to be back this year.
Ouch.
So we've right, but so there's nothing really to watch. they're an absolute bottom feeder, right? So it's a team that's kind of devoted to Jaden Ivey, young guy, looks good. Livers, there's a few guys. There's not really anything that's like will make you want to turn the TV on. So you're not going to pay attention to the fact that Wiseman now not playing Goof League ball, playing NBA ball, playing every night, starting out there, getting like some serious minutes, playing above like 30 minutes, putting up 16, 17, 18, 19 points a night, getting 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rebounds a night. Wiseman, there was a reason he was drafted second overall. It might have just been that Golden State lineup, the way they've got that built, the way Kerr's got that stuff set up, those big centers that need to actually play with the ball. It's not, the team's not built that way. So now Wiseman is in Detroit, and I feel like as Detroit gets better, which Detroit's inevitably going to, they have to at this point, right, Lord? I'm not a Detroit fan, but like you've got to think, like everybody in Detroit's wondering how long this rebuild's going to take. But with Cade coming back next year, and these younger boys around him taking another step, and now Wiseman coming in and filling a hole that Detroit didn't actually have filled, that Detroit was lacking in this exact type of player. It looks like now maybe Wiseman. So it's a real redemption story that I think is kind of unfolding on the undercurrent of the NBA right now. As we're going into the playoffs. We're talking these playoff teams and these playoff teams and projections and who might make it and play in tournaments and all sorts of good stuff as the season starts to unwind. You have these teams that are lost to the basement, which is where Detroit finds themselves, in the absolute basement of the NBA of the East.
It must be dark down there.
It's dark down there, but
scary.
The light that they see at the end of the tunnel in players like James Wiseman, and when Cade comes back, is the redemption. And the Wiseman story, I think, is a bit of a redemption story in the sense that went from Goof League, couple years there, bust, to a guy who looks like he could be an every night NBA player if he was in the system that kind of allows him to grow into, because he clearly was a bit of a one-dimensional guy. And if you go back and look at Wiseman's college career, he didn't play much in college, if at all. And like he was recruited really high because of all the particulars, right? He's 7 foot tall, 7'1", really long, has all those particulars to be a guy who, when refined, would be a successful NBA player. But it didn't seem like Golden State either wanted to or knew how to do that. Clearly Detroit's giving him the opportunity now to play at an NBA level, and he's finding a bit of a groove there. And I like to see it, because he was the second overall pick. So I like to see it. And Detroit looks like a team that now, when Cade's back next year and they get their draft pick this year, because there's some draft picks this year. Like imagine they go first and get Wembanyama. Like it's going to be great. Imagine they get Scoot Henderson. Like Detroit is that's one of those stories I think it's going kind of unrecognized because nobody pays attention to Detroit games right now. But James Wiseman, a draft pick that was looked at as a bust from 2-3 years ago, in between Edwards and Ball there in that 2020 draft, now starting to look like pretty redemptive story. Maybe on the comeback trail, maybe going to redeem some of that potential that everybody thought that he had so much of. Second overall in the NBA draft is no bullshit, my man.
Well, speaking about dark times and redemptions, hopefully Rocksteady redeem themselves from the mess, the travesty that Suicide Squad killed the Justice League has been going through lately.
Rocksteady.
Rocksteady.
Bebop and Rocksteady?
Not exactly that, but Rocksteady have made...
I don't have cards or anything to fiddle with.
So then you can just listen to my story.
I'd like to. BigBeaverComics.com, by the way.
Right, check us out.
Is where you should go if you like these comic books. If you like hanging out with us, right on. If you're watching us over on YouTube, subscribe, like the video, share this with your friend. I already shared it with your mom. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right, back
Bebop
into
and Rocksteady.
Okay, so Rocksteady has a history of making Batman Arkham Asylum games, which has been renowned for being the best Batman games ever made.
Well, those are good.
Yes.
Right.
Rocksteady makes those.
I don't play much for video games, but I've played those.
Yes. So now Rocksteady's been
MIA. I played Arkham. What's the first one? Arkham Asylum.
Arkham Asylum.
Then the second one, Arkham City. I played those.
Arkham Knight.
Haven't played that. I haven't played the first two though.
Yeah.
Right on.
So so Rocksteady's
Got all the little Riddler things.
all the
Yeah.
question marks. Yeah,
I was
did
up
all
in that bitch.
stuff. I know, yeah.
Fuck yeah, throwing those Batman combos.
Oh yeah, the third one's great. It has the Michael Keaton '89 suit in it. It's so sweet.
I love how you could like bounce around to multiple guys and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah. The fighting system's
bounce around to
real good.
multiple guys.
Yeah, finish them off real nice.
Oh,
You get that combo meter up, finish them off with the special. I love that move.
Right.
Oh, many
Get
nights.
splashed all over the
Pause
face.
screen, yeah.
Splashed all over the face with the special.
So, like I was saying, they've been MIA now for about 7 years. Since 2015, they haven't said anything really, like until they've announced Suicide Squad. Now, no gameplay has been released until recently, which has been getting crazy downloads because it just
Why?
seems. Well, it's just very generic. It's everybody has a gun now. Nobody has power. So there's like King Shark, there's Deadshot, there's Harley Quinn, there's Boomerang. Those are the 4 guys that showed off so far. And all they do is they just shoot weapons. So it's a looter shooter type of game. So they have like a battle pass where you pay to unlock certain cosmetics and some credits to unlock stuff in game. And more than likely, most of the cosmetics in the game, like suits, will be locked behind a paywall. So it's not going to be a pay-to-win type of game, I don't think. I think it's mostly going to be microtransactions behind the live service, and which is a downfall if Marvel's Avengers is any sort of a barometer to take for a live service game that is exactly the same thing, or even Gotham Knights, which recently came out, which is a 4-person that was exactly the same as Suicide Squad.
Was it done by those Rocksteady people too? Gotham Knights?
Gotham Knights, no, is done by Warner Brothers Montreal, which did a Gotham Arkham Knight game.
So this is the only time they've come out with anything since 2015?
Yes.
So why has everybody got all this hate on for it? Like,
Because of the lackluster game.
if they haven't done anything wrong all this time,
That's the thing, be optimistic. Let them...
like the game hasn't come out, right?
No,
This
but
is
they
just-
recently delayed it after such the
They
heavy
shouldn't have.
backlash.
Delays happen all the
It
time.
does.
Delays happen all the time.
Yeah, this game's been
These
delayed
guys,
multiple
what's wrong? 2015 things were good, right? These guys did Arkham. You said these guys did
Arkham games, yeah.
the Arkham
It's
Asylum
just because
games
they've
stuff.
got away from the Arkham Asylum.
But how do these people know? They haven't played it yet.
They're just from the gameplay that they showed.
Who gives a shit what you think?
If
If
you'd have to
you
get
liked what these guys did before and they left with good sentiment, even though they've been gone for a period of time, which, like that's, I don't know how to take that. You never know why things went on hiatus.
Yeah.
Right? But like they never screwed anything up. It's not like things have been trash. Why don't you allow this stuff to come out?
I think because the community has
What's the game? What is it that they're coming out with? You said it-
Suicide Squad killed the Justice League.
right.
So I think the community just has a bad taste in their mouth.
So how do they even know it's all just guns? Have they played it, or is that just the gameplay they've seen that's been released?
They released like a 10-minute gameplay of all 4
And why do we
characters.
think that they wouldn't have like physical combat if they've had that?
Just
in the
because of
Batman
what's
stuff
been
before?
shown, right? That's what they're going off of. By the gameplay reveal,
I have a tough time believing that a company that is known for that specifically, that's kind of what we were just talking about. We were talking about Batman.
Yeah.
Was the fact that the combos and shit like that were so identifiable. They were so cool. They were so unique, and they were so fluid that they made that gameplay really, really immersive. And then you take that and you think like these guys would take this big hiatus and they'd come back and they'd spit in the face of like, will it work for them too? I don't know if that's the case. Maybe they're only getting like a piece of gameplay where it's just like,
well, just before the
played it. Who do we know? I don't want to put you on the spot. Like,
nobody's played it. Nobody's played it yet.
Shine a light at you. Where were you on the night of the 4th? Goof.
I don't know.
Probably here working.
Probably. More than likely. Yeah.
More than likely.
So no, there's been no game testers that have played the game. It's all been internally done.
So it's just things that have been released at like a Comic-Con or something.
Yeah, like
where was it released?
It's kind of like I can't remember the name. It's some an acronym or whatever.
Oh, okay, but it was at like a Comic-Con
OPC or something like that.
Comic-Con or convention.
It was something like that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think, like I was saying,
People should shut the fuck up.
I think
That
the
would be my
community
advice.
just has a bad taste of all these
That's
looter
my
servers.
advice. Shut the fuck up.
Well, I think that's what most developers are saying, to shut the fuck up.
Right. Grow up. Like, let this thing come out. If it's good, then allow it to be good, and like the fans will determine if it's good.
Yeah. Well,
And if
then they
it's
just
bad-
fear that it's going to go down the road that Marvel's Avengers did.
Mind your
And-
business.
And same thing with Gotham Knights. 'Cause Gotham Knights had this big hype. It looked so good because
Who did Gotham Knights? It wasn't this
Warner
Rocksteady.
Brothers
Wasn't
Montreal.
this Rocksteady, right?
No, but they
So
did
stop
a
projecting everybody else's
they
shortcomings on that
did
company.
an Arkham Knight game, Arkham Knight Origins or Arkham Origins, or not Arkham Knight Origins.
Yeah, but so what? Stop projecting every other company's shortcomings on this Rocksteady. Like, if Rocksteady was always good and they've always done good stuff and they just haven't been around for a while, why do you just off a quick glance at some stuff, you're all of a sudden the arbiter of this being terrible? Like, I don't know. Like, leave it alone.
I think
How
because
many
they
people
hyped.
thought No Man's Sky and all this stuff sounded like it was going to be amazing off the hop, and then ended up being garbage?
Right, but it was
But
only
it's
after
because
like, a
everybody
decade.
wanted it to be emotional. They wanted it to be, and it sounds like people are like the sentiment has moved in a direction where people are purposefully looking at this through a negative lens,
Like
rather than
it's-
looking at it through like it's a pretty competent studio that's got a track record of being fucking excellent.
Yeah.
And like they've just been gone for a bit, like settled down. Like you just got a little snippet of things. It's a really big like franchise that they've got. Like, why do you think they would half-ass and give you like?
I think just because
Dribble.
the gameplay looked very generic.
So
then-
what? It's a first look. Gameplay does look generic on first looks.
Mhm.
But people need to forget projecting other studios' failures and putting that on a studio that sounds like when they left, they should be regarded in that same sentiment as when they were here, because it doesn't sound like they've done anything to lose that. There's just been time in between. There hasn't been a change in.
Well, there's been a change in staff. Like pretty much all the original, like the founders of Rocksteady have left.
What happened? Why were they on hiatus for so long? Do you know? Again, not putting you on the spot.
There was multiple things. They had a Superman game that was supposed to come out after Arkham Knight because there was a bunch of Easter eggs in it for Superman. Like Lex Luthor was in it. There was a LexCorp building. There was little things that you hear like, oh, Superman's coming to Gotham.
And that's why they were on hiatus, was because the Superman game?
And then it was
It
canceled.
broke their heart.
I don't know if it broke Rocksteady's heart.
Why were they on hiatus? Like, why did the studio not do anything for 8 years? Like,
I have no idea.
just-
I think, like they said,
some stuff canceled.
they've had multiple projects trying to get up. Like they said, like they had a Superman project they didn't want to do, and then they canceled that.
Yeah, I don't know. I would let things come out and see where the chips fall before I became a critic. I'm a critic of the critics. I'm a critic of all the naysayers because you can never tell what's good or bad. Nobody knows. Like, until it's really in your hands, you can't tell. There's no predictive where you're going to say like, oh, you know, this new game, this Red Dead Redemption is going to be like, sure, people can predict that. But as a whole, no one knows what's going to be like super adopted. Or else everyone would have made up Minecraft, or else everyone would have made up World of Warcraft.
Like you just
or
said,
any-
Red Dead Redemption. Like you got studios like that, Rockstar, which do have a good track record. So you
I've
wouldn't
never
think
played one of those games.
no, Red Dead Redemption is really good. I feel like
Cowboy game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I don't like video games.
yeah you get it's pretty good. You
I like
get
talking
Tuberculosis is right.
I like
after that.
talking about the human psychology of the consumer and how video games can. Like, I like talking about
Yeah.
the game. I like talking about this, but to actually like sit down and like the last like game I can really remember playing would have been Borderlands.
Oh yeah,
Like the first Borderlands, and I played the second one a bit just because I liked the first one a lot.
yeah.
But I really liked the first one. But like I played a lot of World of Warcraft. Like at level 60, at level 70, at level 80, at level 85.
Yeah.
A lot of World of Warcraft. For years and years. Played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of World of Warcraft. So
Oh, Warcraft is awesome, right?
World of Warcraft was awesome. But it was more lifestyle than like playing a video game. Because I wasn't playing. I've never even owned like an Xbox. You've never known me to own like a PlayStation. My
Your
kids
kid
have-
has a PlayStation.
The kids have a PlayStation, but like not me.
Well, this next game that I want to talk about.
So like no, but I think that company, that Rocksteady company, should be given
benefit of the doubt.
should be given the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise, and then when proven otherwise, then be happy to say like, but otherwise don't act like you just want it to fail. Just because you
I think
see
they had
it,
such high hopes
and
for
you
it, and then it was such a
interpret it.
lackluster.
Get your expectations out of the way for
No
things, because
expectations.
that's a great way to get your feelings hurt.
Yes.
Just to have a whole bunch of expectations. Well, you know what you should have expectations for is what you're gonna do. Have expectations for that.
What you can control.
Don't put expectations onto other things you have no control over, because ultimately what you're going to do is set yourself up for a bunch of failure. So the best thing to do is expect from yourself. Don't expect from everybody else. Give these guys the benefit of the doubt. They've put out good games in the past.
Yeah.
And if it's shit, then we'll all know it's shit, because the sentiment will all be shit. And then we can all say it's shit. But before it comes out, just be ambivalent, if anything, right? Just be like, yeah, fuck, I could care less. That's how I am. I could care less. I don't care if it's good or bad, but I care that people jump the gun and they act emotionally because they have some visceral emotional response.
Expectations.
That's probably
That's what it is.
That's probably it.
Got high expectations, just like this
Leave
next
these
game.
guys, have high expectations for yourself.
Yeah, that's very true. You should have high expectations.
You should.
A lot of people have high expectations for this next game, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and I'm one of those people that
What's
have
that on?
high PS5, Xbox, PC,
All of it.
all
The
of it.
whole
Not,
gamut.
not on PS4 or the older systems, just for
Because it's high grade.
Oh, so high, so high.
What are you doing it? Who are you?
So you are this guy. You
I
take.
played some Star Wars.
Yes.
The Old Republic I played.
We've had this character on our show.
I like MMOs. Have
Oh,
we?
Yes,
Okay.
we sold him on the Black Series. It's Cal Kestis.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
This
yeah,
guy, yeah,
I
yeah.
did see something about that.
So this is the second game. His
Kestis is
first
cool.
game.
He's got a nice kind of outfit.
Yeah, well, this
Is everybody him in the story? Like you play? Is it going to be one of these open world games like we talked about with the RoboCop?
yeah, it's not an MMO game. It's a single player experience.
I like MMOs. I don't like single player experience.
Oh, I love single.
Go ahead and tell me. Go ahead and tell me.
So this is his second appearance in a video game. This is his second game.
What else was he in? Galaxies?
No, he was in Star Wars Jedi. Fallen
This
Order.
son of a bitch would also be in. No. It's got to be at least his third then, because he would also be in Star Wars
Galaxy of Heroes.
Galaxy of Heroes on,
Yes.
on the app.
He is actually on
He is
that.
on that.
Of
yeah,
course, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Because
he is on
everybody's
that.
on that.
So in this time around, what people are freaking out about is the Jedi stances. There's 5 different stances for the lightsaber. Not Kung Fu stance, I
not Kung
wish.
Fu stance.
No, so they
What
have...
kind of stance? A Jedi stance?
well, of course,
Is
well,
that where you're
Jedi.
putting it in her throat?
The Force.
yeah.
With
Put it-
Force.
There's consent.
Well, of course. Well, Jedi mind trick, there's always consent.
Wow.
Wow. Do not
Anyway.
endorse that. So the 5 stances is Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber, right? Dope staff
Cal
style.
Kestis fights Maul.
No, he does not fight Maul.
Oh, okay.
So his other stance is he's dual-wielding lightsaber, so it's got 2 lightsabers.
Okay.
He's got the original Jedi stance. Then he has one of my personal favorites. He has what I like to call the Kylo stance. So he has the Kylo Ren hilt with the little
Boring.
lightsaber.
Long story
Not
short.
boring, not
long story
boring to
short.
me.
Why is this game good?
Well, if you let me get into it, I'll tell you why it's really
I just
good.
let you, and you were telling me about standing.
Stances. 'Cause
Stances.
They've added
Is
different
that a
stances.
thing? Is that a thing you guys really, you Star Wars fans, really care
for
about?
Jedis, absolutely.
A stance.
Yeah, and then the new stance is blaster and lightsaber attack.
Stance getting a lot of plays here.
Well, because it's deep into it.
Is that all this game is just like standing with lightsabers?
No.
This is the way you could stand. You could stand with your left shoulder out,
No.
or your right shoulder out.
No, it's not like that. There's different lightsaber stances. So it's different fighting stances.
Ooh.
So it's a mixture of 5 this time. What also is they have a deep customization system. Before you would only change your
Who
poncho.
else sees it? It's just not even this multiplayer games. Who cares if you can customize?
All right, so let's move on to something else.
No, I'm just saying.
Well,
Like
we
what-
could do something else. What do you wanna talk
customization.
about?
No. Customization is cool when you've got the multiplayer online aspect, because then everybody sees the uniqueness of things. But these games that are all enclosed,
I prefer single player games over MMOs.
is it the interaction with other humans?
No, it's the personal storytelling you get. You get deeper storytelling.
I find that they can still do that. I find that there's still a lot of opportunity if you make a game that has a really immersive environment to still have the opportunity where you have like incidental interaction with other human beings and can like actually interact with them, and you can like have these little like spurned on experiences that you never otherwise would have had, but you can still have like a path that feels like your own path. I feel like there's still a way to encapsulate both of those things. I don't feel like it becomes isolated to one thing, whereas like with that you're boxed in because you don't. That's what I hated about Breath of the Wild. Like when you're telling me about the RoboCop game, it's the same thing where I'm like, I want to play Zelda, but I want to play Zelda in a world where there's other people playing characters in the Zelda.
Right. But when you add so many more people to the game, the core elements of the game, the gameplay itself starts.
I'm
slacking.
a Warcraft junkie. I don't know how to play by myself. I need a cosign and something to compete for and a ranking every week for PvP and a gear ranking.
Well, yeah, you got to do competitive
things
gaming,
compared to other guys. I want to run up to you in town and right click you and check your gear and compare it to mine and then cuss at you and be like, stupid, I'll have better gear than you soon. Like, then report him for some bullshit, trying to get his account deactivated.
Oh, Call of Duty.
Right.
Just like
I've never played really Call of Duty.
Call of Duty's not that fun. It's okay.
My one son plays it a little bit. He got it with the PlayStation when he plays it a little bit.
But Modern Warfare 2.
He's more into the basketball and that kind of stuff that he's into, or Fortnite.
He does like the Fortnites.
He's good at Fortnite. I've watched him win that quite a bit. I've never played Fortnite.
No, me either. No.
I remember people playing it when it first came out 4 or 5 years ago, like on the phone and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, it seems like it's become more of a game you play with.
It was like PUBG was like that too or something.
Yeah, I've never played that either. I'm not sure if he's ever played that.
No.
Video games are cool. They're cool,
so many.
But
it's good escapism.
It can be really fun. Like Warcraft was immersive, dude. Like I said, I played at 60, I rated. I played at 70, I rated. Burning Crusade, played at 80, rated. Played at 85, rated. Like did a lot of that stuff. Like rated Molten Core and Blackwing Lair and all that good shit back in the day.
Did all the good stuff.
All the good stuff. But it was, I don't know if it was just because at that time in life, it was everything. Because I mean, when you look at Warcraft, when it comes to like the numbers, it was a bit of a perfect storm too. Because Warcraft is a game that's like broken so many records and made so much money in subscriptions and was just kind of a cultural phenomenon.
Xbox is trying to buy Activision Blizzard right now.
I thought Activision Blizzard got sold to somebody. I thought I heard that was like done.
No, it's not done yet.
Is it Xbox that's trying to do it?
Yeah. Sony's lobbying for them not to buy it.
World of Warcraft was an amazing game. I never did play when they re-released the
classic
vanilla. Classic Vanilla WoW. I never did play it, but like Vanilla WoW, this level 60 stuff was the best by far. Oh, by far, dude, it was so good. So good. But again, you don't know if it was just the times.
Right, if it's just because it's hot then.
It was hot. It was, you were living through the very advent of like these online games becoming like adoptable by like you and all your friends. It wasn't just you if you were like, but it wasn't something that had been around for a long time, like 20 years, so you don't appreciate it anymore.
Right.
It's still like new, and this game.
Was it Everspace was the first one? It wasn't Everspace.
No. Ultima is the first big MMO
that's what I was thinking.
That's like mid 90s, right? 95, 96.
Somewhere.
That's like dial-up internet still.
That game's still up and running.
That's Lord British and all that. I would imagine Ultima's still around. I would imagine there's probably future iterations of that. And then you'd have EverQuest in 99.
Yeah.
Right? And then EverQuest 2 came out like a week or two before Warcraft in November of 2004 for World of Warcraft and EverQuest 2, which I've played both lots of.
Yeah.
Played Warcraft lots, like way lots. But like played EverQuest a bit. Played Aeon a bit, Rift, like I said, Star Wars, The Old Republic.
Okay.
That was the MMO that came out like 2009, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so, because before that was Galaxies.
Yeah, it was before that was, and it was
I played Galaxies, I never played the
Old Republic was good. It was pretty linear. Like I've played it since then, like not recently, but like maybe 2013 or something, 2014. I went back to it. After it had a bunch of updates and expansion packs and all that kind of stuff. And it had a lot of a lot of stuff added to it that made it feel not so linear. I felt like really on like a path.
Okay.
Because when it first came out, you felt, even though it was an MMO, you were really on like a fixed path. Whereas like Warcraft felt like a wide open world. And that was like 5 years before when that came out.
Okay.
EverQuest 2, like a wide open world. Like you could get yourself caught up real quick in some shit that you're toast. And like there's warnings, but you have to be paying attention, and like things change, and but like sceneries change, backgrounds change, ambiance changes to let you know that you can have zones that are like, 11, 12 zones besides zones that are 40, 50, because you just don't go through the zone to the east. You got to go west or north, or like you don't get to go that other way, because if you go that way, those guys are 25 levels ahead of you. Like so you have these, and you have all this interaction, like PvP. I know a lot of people hate PvP, and it's shitty in some games. Like I played Dark Souls.
Oh yeah, I'm good at those games.
Me too. That's another game I've played a bit, like Dark Souls, Demon Souls.
Their most iteration, the most recent one is Elder Scrolls. Oh, not Elder Scrolls, sorry, Elden Ring.
Right. I heard that. That's the same company, right?
Yeah.
Dark Souls the first one, or Demon Souls? Demon Souls the first one.
Demon Souls is the first one.
Is the first one, right? And then there's Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Demon Souls is not is the first game they made, but Dark Souls is not a continuation.
No, but it's same game basically.
Basically,
same type of game, same bonfire system, same all that. I don't like that PvP, phantoms and shit. That stuff's garbage. That stuff's super garbage. But when you talk about like World of Warcraft. One thing about EverQuest 2 that I'll say, and I don't know if it was always just maybe
well, they have invaders in Elden Ring and stuff like that in Dark Souls.
It's garbage, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, you
Phantoms, the like PvP, the invaders, whatever you want to call it, stuff's garbage. Because the game's not good that way. It doesn't look good that way.
Why?
With guys that, I don't know, it's much better fighting the actual, like, the
You mean the guy looking red?
No, it's on the actual visuals. Oh. It's something about the way it just feels. It's just not. The game feels better when you're fighting the game, as it's on like this kind of platform, and you feel like that you're the only like real sentient thing.
Well, that's how the Star Wars game is.
But with WoW, it's better. The sentience, it feels, the interaction between you and like an adversary that's another human, for some reason feels a lot more like linear. It feels more human. That for some reason doesn't feel it feels like it was kind of placed in there. Maybe it's the way it looks. Maybe it's me just not being comfortable. Because I don't play a lot of games, but there's always something about WoW that like struck all the chords. For somebody who wasn't a game, did I ever tell you the story about how I got into WoW?
Yes, you have.
So I skipped work. I was like, I didn't want to go to work, right? I didn't want to explain to my parents. I was like, fuck, I don't want to explain to fuck why I took the day off on like a Thursday.
Yeah.
Right? I was like 19 years old or just some shit like that, 20 years old. I didn't want to explain to them, right? Still live at home. Don't want to explain to mom and dad. Like, just fucking, I took the day. Like, what do you mean you're taking a day off on a Thursday? Like, I didn't feel like going to work. So I called my buddy, who's been playing this Warcraft shit for like 3 months now since it came out, 4 months maybe. And I don't play video games. I don't have a computer, I don't PlayStation, I don't have an Xbox. Those things were around in 2004, right? This would have been early 2005, right? Yeah. Those things were around in some iteration, not obviously in the newest iterations, but in some iteration, those things were all around. Nintendo, I'm sure, was around, GameCube or some shit.
Oh, no.
Maybe the Wii was around by then.
Yeah, maybe around 2006 or something when we came out.
So I called my homeboy and I was like, yo, I don't want to, and I knew this guy was been playing WoW because I've been over there, right? We've been hanging out, chopping up. I've been rolling while he's playing, and the homeboys are playing in the room. There are like 3 computers going, like I'm watching movies or whatever. And so I call him in the morning. It's like 7-something in the morning. Yo, I don't want to go to work. Oh, are you still awake? Da da da. Like, yeah, you called me. I'm awake. Like, I'm just gonna go to bed here. I'm gonna wrap it up here pretty quick. I was like, okay, boom. I'm gonna shoot over, right? And I'm gonna hang out. So like, you go to bed, and I'll just hang out. And fuck, because I don't want to go to work. Okay, boom. So I go over there, and as I fucking get there, he's just like wrapping up, like, boom, it's done. Okay, so boom, here's a bag of weed right here. Do what you want to do, and I'm gonna go to bed. And fucking, if you leave before I wake up, like, I'll see you when I see you, right?
Yeah.
And So I'm like, hey, log me into this game. Like, I'll sit here and I'll do this. Like, I'll fuck around with this. Like, I won't play on your guy, but I'm sure I can make a new guy or some shit, right? And he's like, yeah, okay. So he like logs me into the game. And I sit down and I start playing. And about an hour into playing, another one of my buddies shows up. That's not any of these are his computers, right? These are a couple of our other buddies' computers. But he sits down, and I guess he has an account on one of their computers.
Yeah.
So he starts playing on Homeboy's computer there too. And so like we play, both of us, and we're playing for like 2-3 hours, and we're just hooting and hollering and having a good time, passing this big ass bong back and forth, right?
Yeah.
Just having this blast, like, and I don't play vids, right? So like I'm not used to this. Is just like, so my homeboy gets up. I don't want to say people's name. He gets up, he comes out of his room, and he's like, "You guys are being loud. Gotta go home. Da 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 da. I'm trying to sleep." And I was like, "Oh, that's fine. I'm going to the store right now to buy a computer and buy this fucking." And I went right to Future Shop, dude. I went right. This is what Future Shop was. I went right to Future Shop, bought a computer, like a PC.
Yeah.
Bought Warcraft. Went home, installed everything. Boom, 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 and never looked up for
a couple of years.
3 years.
Oh shit!
And just was immersed, victorious. And you wish you were that good.
The rest is history.
It was awesome. But I don't. This may be the times. Like,
Right.
might have been the times.
Yeah.
Right. Nowadays, everybody's seen that. We've grown up with it. It's not new. It's not inventive. It doesn't have that where it's just like, whoa, what is this? Like a first experience. It's not like, right? It's not like, you know, getting pussy for the first time or something. Where they're like, that's still gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
Because you can hear about it, you can see it, you can this, that, the other thing a million times. But the first time it actually happens.
Right. No.
With this, it's like it's desensitized because the first time that was really there was this collective of people beyond internet nerds, which happened through Ultima and that first EverQuest, was that World of Warcraft, EverQuest 2, Guild Wars 1, you know, Dark Age of Camelot, Conan. There was a Conan game that was around at that time.
There's a Conan game MMO that's out right now.
Yeah, there was a Conan MMO that was around back then, bro. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
There was some good MMOs back in the day. But yeah, so it was
good. There was a Stargate MMO.
You want to take a bowl break?
Yeah, let's do it.
Take a bowl break.
Oh, where's my mic on? Yeah, it is. All right, we're live. Again.
Second time on a Sunday. Lord's Day. Second time for Jesus.
Second
right?
time
Do
for
one
Jesus.
for Jesus.
Well, it's like second coming, right?
It seemed like you got your, did you get your feelings hurt when I shut down your Star Wars game proposal?
Mm-mm.
No, are you sure? These baseball rookies, I was going to sort them. They look like they're already sorted.
Oh.
I've already sorted them.
You already got ahead of yourself.
I was ahead
already
of myself. Yeah, I don't know when I did this. I must have done it before I put them away the last time.
Right, so it's been done for quite some time then.
It's been a while, yeah. It's been 6 months or so at least. So these are done. I don't have to worry about that. So the project I got to work on through it is already done. So there's no point in meandering through that.
Well, there's a lot of hockey cards here.
These are going to come out shortly. So we'll see this shortly on BB Card Sales. BigBeaverComics.com if you're wondering.
Check us out.
Where to go for the comic books and
these were the doubles,
right? No, these are not doubles. No, the doubles were in that one pile you moved up there, but I've only pulled doubles out like 4 or 5 piles so far.
Gotcha.
Right. So yeah, action figures, sports cards, Marvel cards, all sorts of stuff. Dragon Ball, all sorts of comic books.
Speaking about action figures, you know who does
so much stuff.
You know who's a good manufacturer of action figures for? Let's say I
know you're gonna say we talked about this, and like I've never bought a toy from them. And every toy I have had that's come in a collection always seems like it's broken because the articulation is so like particular, if that makes sense.
Well, it lacks a little bit of articulation that makes up for detail.
Say who you're talking about.
Detail. NECA, yeah. I would say the best quality for your money you'd probably get.
Cool
from
sculpts.
NECA.
They have a lot of really cool licenses.
Oh, their IPs.
Jesus, their licenses.
The intellectual properties that they have.
They might have the best when it comes to like
mall horror movies,
problem is the problem is though with a lot of their licenses, and there's another thing, so I don't know how you are about action figures, but like, what are some of the reasons why you like Marvel Legends or G.I. Joe or wrestlers or something as much as you like them? It's because the collecting is so broad that like there's a lot of guys that you can collect that like go against each other, and it's just this deep pool of, whereas with NECA they have a lot of licenses that have like one cool kid. Like there's just, you got how many Freddy movies? 9? The only character you got into the Freddy
7
movies
Freddy.
is just Freddy. So you just have Freddy. You don't have any like,
No, I don't
combating-
think so. Yeah.
No, you don't. You're not going to use Nancy or whatever, right? Like you're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So you have just this one. So like Freddy as a standalone, really cool. NECA's sculpt's cool. Lack of articulation, not in my bag. And then on top of that, I would say just a lack of the like a roster.
Okay.
Legends has a roster. Joe's has a roster. Wrestling has a roster. Guys who can fight guys.
Yeah.
Guys that can collide. There can be these showdowns where we can like, but like with Freddy and Jason and that, like, they're cool. Are they going to fight each other? Is that kind of the idea? Because it's not like a world. It's just a character. It's not a world.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So like, I like NECA stuff in that sense. They're boss looking. They're boss looking.
Oh, they're great look.
Their
Yeah.
packaging is off the chain with the like actual like boxes.
Mm.
Like it's really nice stuff.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They are
Like I've never seen any of their like, I don't know if they do like order stuff off their website, and I'm sure they do, or like special stuff for like some sort of NECA member, because I'm sure all that exists.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Yeah.
But the stuff that goes to retail that we see in Toys R Us, eye appeal is like a 9 out of 10. Like 9 out of 10. When they're new released, you always go and look at that stuff.
Oh, of course. Yeah, they're great toys.
Right.
I like the RoboCop one that they just released. Pretty nice.
Again, but
Pretty cool
nobody
stuff.
for RoboCop to fight. If
Yeah,
they
there's
just-
Ed Toon on that. You got Kane. I think that's it. So.
Right.
I think they maybe have
You see
that
what I mean, though?
mutant guy.
You see what I mean? I'm not shitting on RoboCop, and I'm not shitting on NECA, but they grab these licenses that have no depth, and they put out 1 or 2 guys, and then there's nothing for those guys to do if you like playing with toys.
Right. Well, yeah.
Because I
Legends
like
is probably not
playing
more of
with
the
toys.
playing with toys. That's more of a Legends type of you play with toys.
But
I think
would
more they're more
play
like
with- I play with
statuettes.
Legends, though.
Huh?
Right, I play with Legends, though.
Yeah. Right. No, exactly. I think
Play
there's a
with
difference
Joes,
because they're.
play with wrestlers.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think NECA's meant to be played with.
You don't-
I think they're meant to be. looked
No,
at
they're more,
more.
yeah, they're like starting lineup guys.
Yeah.
Or,
Well,
right.
because it just goes back to like the McFarlane type of stuff, like the movie Maniacs type of, where it's just like they
McFarlane
didn't
were
have
terrible toys to play with. Them
Yeah.
shits all broke and had weirdo like articulation too. Everything moved and slid and turned in weird directions, and it was not. There was no uniformity to it, as if it was all just human bodies.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of uniquely sculpted like pieces, one-off pieces. So because of that, they didn't subscribe to the idea that people on the other end were playing with them. What they were thinking was like, people on the other end are collecting these and they're enjoying the like look of it, and but they didn't take into consideration that like, man, to make things look the way you're making them look in these like uniquely molded pieces is making it so like it's almost unplayable, that toy.
Well, yeah, I think like I said,
Not
that
a
goes with detail over articulation and stuff like
A
that.
couple spawns.
J. Michael Slater brings up, yeah, their gargoyle line is pretty dope from the Disney's gargoyle.
Who's?
NECA's. The Disney's gargoyles. They have
That's well. I mean, that's a bit of a
It's
roster.
pretty good. They
I
do
don't know
Ninja
what
Turtles.
the rosters, what the gargoyles. I don't remember that. I'm a little older than gargoyles.
Mhm.
Like I'm 40, so like
Yeah.
that's a little bit younger than me, a couple years. But like, it seems like gargoyles. That went on for a bit. They would have had something they were doing.
I think they've gone for 4 seasons. They have like a live
Like,
action.
Turtles is a roster. Turtles has enough
Yeah.
because there's like we mentioned a Bebop Rocksteady thing earlier. Like there's Bebop Rocksteady, there's Shredder, there's Baxter
Yeah.
Stockman, there's
I'm not
Right.
sure like how many of like Eve they have.
Scar or whatever his name. Well, I mean, there's got to be 3, 4, 5 seasons of cartoons of the gargoyles, right?
Oh, for the Gargoyles, I
What
think
were
there's
they doing?
4.
Were they just
I think it's
jacking
3 or
each other
4. 3 or
off?
4.
What were they doing for all those episodes?
Well, they're fighting Xanatos.
So there we go. That's what I mean. There's a roster.
Yeah.
There's like I would consider Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, like 16 guys is easily a roster.
All right.
RoboCop and other robot thing. That's not a roster. That's RoboCop.
Yeah.
It's just RoboCop.
Well, I think that's why people buy it. It's because it's RoboCop. Right?
Mhm.
Not like a big roster of guys.
And I think that's what sucks about the NECA stuff. Is that even if you've got like a really cool guy, there's nothing further to get into.
Well, I think it's more like on to the next piece because I've got my RoboCop now. Now it's gone to like Terminator or it's on to whatever the next guy has.
I do get that. I do get that because there are people that are just.
Because I don't think they have their own like real IP, right?
No.
I think they still pay for all these licenses.
Right. No, I guess I do
Right.
see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
I would like to see NECA take on something that has
Some more original.
something a little more maybe or a little more robust, like something that again that has more of like waves, where you're getting guys all from the same universe, 4, 5, 6 of them at a time in a wave, and something that's planned out for like. Because I'd like to see what kind of real toy manufacturer they really are, because they've only ever done these like statue-y, kind of brittle, but like really cool one-off licenses. But
I only think the real deep line they have.
I play with toys.
I think the only real two deep lines is the Predator line and the
Done a
Alien
lot
line.
of Predators.
And Alien.
Still kind of a brittle toy. Not really great for playing.
I don't know. I've never really
Played with
played
a
with
few
them.
of them.
I have
Yeah.
a few Necco toys.
But again, I don't know how the manufacturing changed, because like you said, there was a lot of series of those. Like they went through 12 waves, 14 waves.
Oh, I think
of
more
Predator.
than that.
Right.
And they've all
Exactly,
changed. 'Cause, like
exactly.
they have the Ultimate Editions.
Exactly.
Now, right?
Tons of that.
Yeah.
And Predator's kind of deep, but like, did they make that deal? Is that universe like that?
But
Did NECA make that like that, or is that
no,
like
that
from the
universe.
books?
That's like
Or-
that's from the books and everything.
Like, is that where they got a lot of those, or did they make those properties?
No.
There was that many Predators. That
Oh,
they'd
in
already
the second
come up with?
movie, there was like 10 of them in the movie. You just didn't know that they were there until the very end, where Buddy's like in the ship, and you just finish killing the Predator,
Right.
and then all the Predators come from being like invisible, and they give him the old pistol and everything before they blow it up.
That's true.
Yeah, so no, they have a deep history.
I
The
guess,
comics
right.
go back for so long. There's
True.
different tiers of Predator.
I was thinking that was
classes.
more of a more recent thing, but I guess you are right that like there is signs in the past of the Predator stuff where like there was. So I guess the fucking action figure lines went ham.
Oh, Kennedy
They
used to
put
do
out
those
his
back in the
shit ton of
90s. Yeah, the
Right.
Predator toy line's been around for a while.
Yeah, that's a good one. Not really playable. Like I've played with a few.
Yeah.
But not really. Playable.
You know what good NECA is good for, like diorama set, like the characters.
You know what's always a
provide
bummer is
detail.
when the wrestling action figures are not playable figures.
Right, when you think they would be, because
You look at
they
it,
are
you're like,
wrestling.
right? You know what it's supposed to be for, and it's you fail at it, and there has to be like actual like mental gymnastic workarounds to actually get it to work. That's always unfortunate because, like you said, you've got one thing to get right.
Yeah.
Like you're here because you're for a certain thing that has guys doing things where they're actually physically interacting with each other. You have to make that somewhat feasible, like an executable sort of thing. It's prudent to your strategy. So when you see that, and it's happened a few times. Like,
I imagine the hair gets in the way a lot with wrestlers, huh?
Um,
Or their clothes, like their shoulders probably don't go up as high.
I haven't played with a toy in a long time, so like wrestlers again, nice roster. I like collecting some of the stuff, I collect the older stuff, but they don't. I don't think they're made for that anymore. I think they're kind of so expensive because again, I don't do that,
Oh yeah, they're like
and it's
60
been a
bucks for
long
figure now.
time, right, dude?
Like Legends are the same thing.
Ridiculous.
Legends are the same thing. They're
Like,
like
how is it so?
so expensive. You're paying like $49.
Nobody's buying that.
No, dude.
Like,
No, you. And then I saw when I was at the Toys R Us the last time I went there with my brother. I saw the Sentinel from like the '90s X-Men series. So it came on a big card back from the cartoon.
oh yeah, it's like
$100, $100
wow.
for it. And it came on a card back, and it wasn't
It's
any
cool.
It's very cool because it was just like the cartoon, but a $99.99 they wanted for it. Like, what are you talking
They're
about?
bugging.
This is supposed to be
absolutely
toys.
bugging.
These aren't like hot toys where you're spending like a few $100s on. Like, there's a difference. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's always been these people that run out and buy stuff that they try to flip. So I mean, I guess you're trying to price out the arbitrage and the margins that like flippers. But what you're doing is like you say, you're boxing out like kids.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to. That's what toys are for.
I see another Dollarama.
Like the toys that are supposed to be expensive are vintage toys when you're trying to get your youth back 30 years later.
I saw Marvel Legends out Dollarama.
Shut up, really?
3 3/4 inches, yeah. They're
like the Kenner ones?
Like the Kenner ones there, yeah.
Oh, like Captain Marvel?
Like the Captain Marvel, Phoenix, there was a Wolverine there.
Shut up.
Yeah. Just over here in Clarity here.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like the doubles like you always see. There was one with the cover was ripped.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, they had stacks, rows of them.
Well, I mean, that's some kid got lucky.
Yeah.
That's right on.
Well, that's good for like see that, but yeah, charging like $50 for like a toy, just a toy. It's not a collector's thing.
I can understand if it's from a series where a guy was the hot figure and there hasn't been many of them, and it's in a paint job everybody loves, and like one figure jumps up, 30 or 40% above what his market value was. It's like $30 I was fine with.
Yeah,
I was fine with $30 a toy because it felt like, okay, you're making a little bit. This packaging is nice. Like the figure's well built.
Just throw it in a box now.
You go above and beyond with like different sculpts and the articulation and doing these build figures and trying to have like a lot of versatile releases. Like Marvel doesn't pigeonhole themselves and just do like the same guys over and over again. Because even sometimes if you jump on the bandwagon at a certain point in time collecting Marvel Legends, you might be 6 months or a year removed from a serious Spider-Man series where you can actually just get like a baseline Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's Marvel Legends does a good job for the most part, but that pricing scheme is not gonna fly for long with people.
Absolutely not.
Who's gonna be interested in paying $55-$60 for
a toy that you can't even see anymore because it's in a box?
It's a kid's thing, first and foremost.
Yeah. And you know what's gonna suck is because like now you can't see inside the box. So those people, everybody knows them out there. Those scammers that return Marvel Legends.
I remember
they're gonna return them in those boxes, the cardboard.
I remember in the first years of Marvel Legends when they came out in the early 2000s. Like first, it was the Amazing Spider-Man series. There was 1 year of Amazing Spider-Man that were these same figures. Like it was Spider-Man guys, like 8 different Spider-Man guys for one, and then the next series was Marvel Legends Series 1. But it was the same sculpts, same bubbles, same all that, right? Like it's just one series says it's Spider-Man, then it starts into the Marvel Legends stuff. So I remember from the very beginning this stuff, from the very, very beginning, and they were $20 at the beginning, Canadian. And it was expensive. But this was pre-movies. This was, I want to say this maybe was pre-Tobey Maguire movie, but
so like 90s?
No.
Because 2001 was the first movie,
pre-Tobey, but post-X-Men is when the stuff came out.
So in 2000.
So in
X-Men
like late
came out 2000.
Right, because X-Men came out like July of 2000 or June of 2000.
Yeah.
This would have been like November, Christmas
time,
the Christmas toy release of 2000. Even though there was no X-Men in it, it was like a prelude to the Spider-Man coming out. I said, the first series was Spider-Man. Then the next series wasn't Wolverine still. Because series 1 of Marvel Legends was
Iron Man.
Mole Man, right. Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, and is that it?
I think just Mole Man was the other one.
Is that it? Just 4 guys?
Yeah.
Might have been. I don't remember what the Spider-Man series was, but there was I don't know if there was 2 waves or just 1. I feel like there was like 8. So if we're saying there was only 4 in the first Legends series, there might have been 2 waves of Amazing Spider-Man.
Because we've seen the re-release the first wave of the Marvel Legends toy bit style. Remember they came in the plastic box,
right?
Toys R Us.
Yeah, they come
was super heavy
in the cardboard box.
Yeah,
right. That's absolutely correct. We did see those. Oh yeah, I guess I would be the only 4 then, because there was no Thor.
No, they didn't even re-release Mole Man for the series. It was just the
wasn't there? Was
there was a mole man that was released because we looked it up. Who's like,
right? He's got no
4.
articulation at all.
No, but they only did the 3 figures: Cap, Iron Man, and Hulk. Somebody's gonna buy Mole Man.
And those are the $60 ones, I imagine.
$60 ones. Yeah.
I would imagine Hulk's maybe even more than 60.
Oh, he's pretty hefty, man. That guy was like 20 pounds. I imagine, like, yeah. Now they're probably going up now.
That's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that is ridiculous.
The first series are cool though. Yeah,
yeah. That's like the finger articulation was cool.
They did.
Toy Biz had
the Hulk. The one Hulk had the fingers that were like they bend. They had the wire in them.
Oh,
they were straight, and you could bend them.
Didn't the thing have that too?
But then there was a Hulk that was the same Hulk that was the variant that had the fingers that actually had the joints.
Yeah,
that were harder. I personally liked those better because I felt like while it was cool that you could bend them yourself, you could never get them into a good fist.
No, because they're kind of flat.
So if a guy was going to crack a guy, they just kind of like, like this. Right. So I liked kind of the hand that did this because I figured there's nothing like this he's doing anyway. He's not waving.
High.
Right. So I like the fingers on the tracks kind of more than the wire fingers.
Yeah, I'd rather fingers on the tracks than just have the molded hands.
But they did have finger articulation. All of them.
They did, yeah.
Like Cap did, Iron Man.
Spider-Man, they all did.
Marvel Legends were awesome. Even the Legends that they did with the 3 3/4, not the Kenner stuff that you were talking about that's apparently the store.
Yeah, with the universe.
But the universe stuff, the 3 3/4 stuff with all the articulation and all the like series they did that spun off of those. All those universe series that they did that were the Iron Man movie stuff that had like Whiplash and shit in it. There was some Spider-Man stuff from that time frame. Oh, what else was there? Because this is like pre-Guardian. There was some Thor stuff from the Dark World.
They had all the Iron Man movies.
They had the Iron Man, like all the armors that they did in a couple of the series where they did the armor wars.
It was like 23, 30
they had all that good stuff.
They had a couple Deadpools.
They did have a couple Deadpools.
A gray, a red, and I think a yellow.
But those were in the Universe series, the actual full series.
Yes.
Right? Because like when the gray one was in... Shit, what was that? What were those in? What was Deadpool from? There was a Deadpool San Diego Comic Con that had like the champion of the galaxy or whatever his name is, and then the girl, Lady Deadpool, and the dog, and then the taco truck. That was like an SDCC exclusive from like 2011, 2010, 2012, something like that. For the Marvel Universe 3 3/4. I don't know what the red Deadpool or the gray Deadpool came from. They were in 2-packs, or
I don't know. Maybe they're just
because there were 2-packs.
I think the Deadpool, the gray one, was the single one for some reason.
You might be right. I just don't remember. We had a few Deadpool.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
And we had the toy store.
Yeah.
Like I love that series. That series had all the good stuff. Just like Legends.
Yeah.
Legends is just so much more expensive.
There was the Legends series that died, that really never took off. The big ones, the big
ones. The Deadpool we have.
Yeah, he's around.
He's somewhere around.
They only had they had the Hulk, they had Thor.
They had that first series.
Yeah.
There was never a Venom.
No, there was an Iron Man.
There was an Iron Man, a Hulk with Thor.
Thor, and I think maybe a Captain America.
Well, there was a Deadpool.
Deadpool for sure. Maybe not a Cap, but a Deadpool for sure, yeah. I think it was just
maybe not a Thor.
No, I think there was a Thor.
No, maybe not a Thor. No, maybe Iron Man, Hulk.
Yeah.
Captain America. Yeah.
You might be right on that, you know.
What's the Marvel Legends website? There's a good Marvel Legends website. It's got a wicked database. Now I can't think what the fuck it's called. There's a wicked one out there because like we used to have a toy store. So I know a lot about Marvel Legends, but I can't think of this off the top of my head. But back in the day, and I'm sure it's still around, hopefully still updated, there was a really good Marvel Legends.
Were they 12 or 18?
They were 12.
Were they 12? I think they were maybe 18, right?
You think? Maybe? You think that Deadpool is 18 inches?
Yeah, they're 18.
Are they?
That's him right there, right? Is that him?
That's what it's from. Yeah. It's got the extra head.
Yeah.
In there. Like the head with the beanie on it, the spinny beanie.
Oh, that's right. He did have something like that.
Yeah,
right?
there's extra. There's head and hands, and so it's swords instead of the guns, but there's guns. It's cool.
It was.
He's a little cumbersome on the joints. Like,
Spider-Man was the other one.
was there Spidey?
There was
So
Spidey.
Who were they?
A Spidey.
Deadpool, Spidey.
A gray Deadpool 2.
Oh
A
shit!
Captain America, a Thor, and a Hulk.
So no Iron Man. No Iron Man.
No.
Right on.
No Iron
And then they bailed on it. What
Oh.
website are we on?
Oh, I was just on Google.
Oh, I thought maybe you were looking up this actual. There's a good Marvel Legends website because that probably would have been on that in the database.
Toy Wiz? Is it Toy Wiz?
No. It's something Marvel Legends.
Something Marvel
It's like a WordPress website, done by one guy, right? Like, but it's been around for
forever, huh?
shit. I want to say since like 2010, man. Like, I've been using it since like before the toy store started. It's a great database. 'Cause
I can't remember. I think I've used it with.
there's a good one.
Oh, look, they had a Wolverine too. So they had a
So
few-
they had other
They've
stuff.
had a few of them, yeah.
They had other stuff. I've never
That's-
seen the Wolverine.
No, because that was gone instantly.
Yeah, but you would think the other ones would have been gone and they weren't. Because I bought the Deadpool on discount. Don't you remember? Like, that Deadpool was like $100.
Black Panther? Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, Black
Never
Panther,
seen
yeah.
that.
So I guess they had a ton of them.
So is it still going on?
Oh,
Does it look, again, that other thing would probably be where it's at because it would show the release dates of series and you can kind of estimate.
Yeah. It looks like the newest one would have been Black
I know what it's
Panther
called
from the
right
first movie.
That's pretty dope though.
That is. I've never seen any of
But
the
again, they
bigger
don't have a
ones.
big enough roster. That's the good part about the Legends thing or DC Universe.
Oh, they
The
have
DC
Iron Man.
Universe stuff, or like the McFarlane stuff we've been talking about with what's it called? That's DC Universe too, isn't
DC Multiverse.
it? Multiverse.
Yes.
DC Universe is the Mattel stuff. That shit's boss.
That stuff is boss.
That stuff's so boss. The reason
Yeah.
it's good because it's got a deep roster. A little pricey. It's pricey
Yeah,
now.
the DC
especially-
icons were good.
Especially in
right?
retrospect. It's super pricey now. If you want to go back and get into DC Universe, definitely like carded stuff. You
Yeah.
pay a fucking arm and a leg for all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, you are.
Like,
Oh yeah, you are.
there's some cool multi-packs they have where it's got DC Universe guys and then like He-Man guys.
Oh yes, they did that.
They've got a DC Universe He-Man with like
it was
Superman and Skeletor.
No, it's Superman and He-Man, Skeletor and Lex Luthor.
Superman and He-Man, right?
Yeah, and then they had like a Superman and Muhammad Ali thing. They had a bunch of those things. And that was it Iron Horse Studios that did that with the Mattel?
Oh, might have been.
Because they did the Masters Universe Classics.
Right.
I'm
Right.
pretty sure it's Iron Horse or four.
Those Motu Classics was another line that's mad slept on.
Great.
If like you're not really like hip to like the actual like goings on in the action figure world,
Yeah.
because that was something you had to do through the Mattel collecting stuff.
Yeah.
That wasn't something that was a retail thing, but that line
No.
went on for years. And the articulation and paint jobs and sculpts on that
Yeah.
are off the fucking chain.
Yeah.
Like that DC Universe stuff, or rather Masters of the Universe Classics, is like some of the best action figures I've ever seen. We've had
Oh yeah, we've had some.
we've had.
Just about all of like the original ones of when they first came out.
We did.
He-Man, Battle Cat, Skeletor.
We did have a shit ton
different
of stuff, didn't
yeah.
we?
I have
They're
two.
pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I have
Those things
two
are
of
remarkable.
Rebel He-Man
Okay.
and
What makes him a rebel? Does he have like cocktail?
well, so they call him Rebel He-Man is because it's a license from the '87 movie.
Okay.
So they couldn't get the license from Canon.
It's him as Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, so they couldn't get the licenses from Canon to use actual Dolph Lundgren or like the He-Man from that. So what they used to make the toys was a concept art from the guy who worked on the movie.
Oh, right on.
So they made the toys off the concept
cool.
art, so they didn't have to pay Canon.
I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but like that's cool.
Yeah,
So it kind of
very
looks
cool.
like Dolph then.
Oh, it looks just like Dolph
That's
has
right
the
on. What's the
costume.
other one?
Skeletor. So they did four. They did four toys.
The other toy you have is Skeletor, from the
in
movie.
the black outfit, yeah, from the movie. Pretty dope.
Again, you like the movie though.
I did as a kid
like the
growing up.
movie.
I loved it.
I loved Canon Films. There's two phenomenal documentaries on Canon.
Oh,
Films.
I
don't know
watched
if you've
those.
watched the ones on.
I have
yeah,
watched
there's-
those.
and they seem like hilarious dudes.
Mhm.
And it's a Canon Films movie, and I like Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
But fuck, as somebody who grew up on the cartoon, Because again, a little older than you.
Yeah, I grew up with a cartoon too.
Right, but I'm a little older than you.
Yeah.
So like, I was around before things were bastardized with the movie. So like, right, I got 3 years on you. That's a bit.
Yeah,
that's
big
a
3
bit.
years.
That's a bit when it comes to things in a narrow time frame. If we're talking 83 to 87 when that movie came
That's a good
out.
5 years, right?
Right, there's a right. So yeah, I don't know. The cartoon's better.
Oh no, I
rest my case. I rest my case. I don't need to defend myself.
No, you don't know. I agree
Everybody
with
out
you.
there would agree with me.
I would say that is a franchise that has been slept on far too long. Master of the Universe.
Not toy wise, because again,
No,
the Master of the
They're
Universe
still making
classics
toys. They're still making toys to this day of
They are.
Origins and whatever.
Never gonna
But-
repeat that classic series.
Uh,
It'll never cross that Rubicon again, which is a series where I know it's difficult for people to find, but if you're a Master of the Universe collector or think about getting into it, you should start there.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't start with the new stuff before I started with the classics.
No, I would definitely go back to the classics or the original vintage stuff. I would definitely.
Vintage
go
stuff
back
is
there.
cool. Vintage stuff. So I think the classics encompass the vintage so perfectly, and then added on so much
Mhm.
actual value over and above that
Absolutely.
that it's probably the series. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen a series better than that.
No, you know what I love about
Pretty
the series
tough,
too, and
pretty
like I was
tough
saying,
to
it's such a sleeper series that they've missed out on such a good movie
3
franchise.
3/4 inch GI Joe.
And no,
'cause
no,
that's a
not just
bad
that.
slept on.
But I love how it's a mixture of technology and magic, He-Man.
Oh yeah, He-Man's
I
cool.
love that. It's like all different worlds, all crazy fantasy, a lot
Super
of
cool.
colors and stuff like that. I like that.
Like just one world with like everybody's like different. Everybody's this
Right.
unique
Yeah.
thing that like.
Well, in He-Man, they didn't have baddies that they fought. You notice that there wasn't just like generic bad guys he fought. Not like in She-Ra. She-Ra
No,
had all their
everyone-
soldiers, but everybody was.
Everyone was like a guy.
Yeah.
Was
yeah.
an actual guy. Like
Yeah.
do you know what He-Man? You know how it started? Do you know how like that whole thing started? Like the He-Man, how it became like a thing, and how they like pitched it, and why they pitched it, and like where.
Wasn't it like Wonder Man first?
Yeah, there was like
bread
there
thing?
was a bread giveaway.
And they were
right?
just thinking, how could they sell toys and stuff like that? Because they already had the comic book.
They were
right?
they were doing some like, what's that called? Where like regional testing on like an idea
Yeah.
to see like what the response would be. Like
Mhm.
made this generic like barbarian character.
Yeah, it was like
Like
brown
released
hair.
them in like the bread thing. You had to
Yeah.
redeem a certain number of
Yeah.
things to get, to get them to get mailed to you in
yeah.
12 to 18 weeks or whatever it happens to be. So yeah, that's where he started, and just it was like, and I mean, it was all because, and that's the same thing that the cartoon was. The cartoon was basically a vehicle for them to be able to sell toys.
Oh, Ninja Turtles was the same thing, right?
But it was excellent. Well, I don't think Eastman and Laird started the Ninja Turtles in that capacity.
No.
So it wasn't started in, and I'm not saying Master of the Universe, it started in bad faith or anything like that. Like, it was what it was for what it was, and it's excellent. So I like the Master of the Universe. I don't
Me
give a
too.
fuck why they started it. But Eastman and Laird with the Ninja Turtles, they didn't start that
No,
as
not like that.
no. Maybe you mean when Nickelodeon and all that,
When the
and
cartoon
Playmates
came
started
out, yeah.
making the right.
Yeah.
Then I can see where they were in cahoots to pitch a retail product, which is smart.
Yeah.
Because Ninja Turtles is an awesome brand too, which has got
Excellent
great
brand.
waves of action figures from the
Yeah.
early 90s.
Brand still going strong
Not
to
the
this day.
greatest articulation for the waves from the 90s, but
Not from Playmates though.
not from Playmates,
No.
but they're cool figures. You know,
Absolutely.
wicked sculpts.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting ideas in that Turtles universe.
Mhm.
So I like it. It's not one of the best, but it's in the top maybe 10.
From the original stuff.
What would you top 10? Let's flesh out. Give me a top 10. Give me
Okay.
a top 10. If we're both saying, just because we're talking about this, we're saying Masters of the Universe Classic is number
Of
one.
course. Probably G.I. Joe next.
Wait, we'll just, so now we need 9 more. So what are 9 more? We're gonna say G.I. Joe for sure.
Yeah.
We'd say Legends.
Absolutely.
I would give Legends in the 6-inch and in the 3 3/4. I wouldn't just give Legends.
Anything like that.
No, I would
okay.
give them both because they were both good. Because that 3 3/4 series went deep.
Hmm.
It didn't stay for as long, but
Yeah.
it went bloody deep.
All
So
right.
G.I. Joe, both Legends.
I would say the real Ghostbusters for me.
Really?
Yeah.
You think that's deep enough?
Oh yeah. I like the
How
real
many
Ghostbusters.
how many waves did that go?
Oh, that went from like 86 all the way up to like the end of it, 90 something.
Wow, really?
Oh,
See,
yeah.
it's this kind of stuff where I don't even
Kenner
know.
made so many different.
Right, so
toys.
Star Wars is definitely going to get you.
Absolutely,
Because
yes.
the roster, see, we're underestimating things already. We're probably going to do the DC universe because that's probably DC's deepest one. And if not, I would like to get superpowers in that motherfucker as well. But then you're going to do regular Motu, because you can't leave that out. And then you do TMNT Vintage, and you're already out of spaces here. So, like, you can't even do a top 10. But I would say Motu Classic still reigns in the top just because of the quality.
Yeah, no, I would.
Star Wars has some dope shit. It's got the articulation at 3 3/4 and at 6 inch. It's got the accessories. It's got the depth, just like Legends does.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe's has some great series. Never really done a 6 inch series, but it's had some great 4 inch and 3 3/4 stuff with chest articulation and with the O-ring. I love that O-ring thing. A lot of these old vintage ones, Motu and TMNT, kind of lack in articulation, but they make up for it in their
imagination.
Right, and it being the OG, the one that really got it off the porch. But the problem is I don't think any of them encapsulate what the Motu Classic has.
No, just what Master Universe has, all the plates.
And I think there's going to still be more of these that we're going to go through. If we start going through all these, there's going to be more and more.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you get into the WWE stuff and the history that they have going back to making toys with LJN back in 1984. Yeah. You've got a lot of toys that are like thousands of wrestlers. So the roster is pretty snug. So there's a lot of...
And these are just, remember, there's just guy toys. It's like Barbie and girls that has such a deep roster. We're just talking about...
Yeah, but I'm not trading you my Barbies. There's no fucking way. So you just keep your hands to yourself.
Encapsulated, bro.
Leave my Barbies alone.
They're in another dimension in Narnia.
Right.
Oh yeah, Barbie collection.
Aaron Rodgers is coming to my division, it sounds like. Coming to the Bills division. Play for the New York Jets. I don't like it.
No.
I don't like it. I want him to go away.
Go away, Aaron Rodgers.
I would like Aaron Rodgers to just stay in Green Bay. Like, I understand Green Bay is done with it. Green Bay wants...
They're good cheese out there.
And they want Jordan Love to finally, after 3 seasons being a backup quarterback, they want him to finally go out there and prove what he's got in seasons that are now going to be major contract years. Like, they're going to have to option him now. It's going to cost them like $20 million. They've never really played more than a handful of games in like 3-4 seasons, whatever it's happened to be, that he's been a backup in Green Bay, but a backup to Aaron Rodgers. So what I would like Aaron Rodgers to do is to fuck off and go back to the NFC and not come. Hopefully the Jets don't make a deal, because the Jets are in a really good position to do this, because the Jets don't have a lot of money tied up in veterans making a grip of dough. The Jets are really, really good, but they're really, really good with a lot of guys on rookie contracts still. So they can bring Aaron in and pay him even more over and above the 40-some million he's guaranteed this year from Green Bay. So he's going to get an extension and going to get a pay bump probably, or definitely at least he's going to get that pay from this year extended into some multiple years going forward, as the Jets don't have to pay guys right away. But Zach Wilson seems like he was the missing X factor last year. He was the guy that, if they would have had somebody different than Zach Wilson, or whoever some of these other mystery guys that played for the Jets were, the Jets would have probably been a team. I mean, obviously not losing, what was the running back's name there? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not asking you. I'm just more asking out loud.
I like my men Mysterious.
Right, yeah.
Mystery men you talk about.
Rookie. Starts with a B, it feels like. Either way.
Bitch boy. He got hurt. And, I mean, they looked really good. I'm going to be trying to think of this the whole time. They looked so good. They had the rookie receivers. They looked really good in New York. Sauce Gardner looks good. But, I don't know if they get Rodgers, it's gonna be one of those moves where the division's just gonna be more difficult again for a couple more seasons for us, where it looked like we had an opening for a couple of years and the Bills obviously just didn't capitalize on it, and now the Jets have built a roster around
what they thought was going to be not missing a quarterback, obviously with Zach Wilson, but they find themselves doing that. They find Aaron Rodgers wanting his way out. Apparently, whatever the compensation is that the Green Bay Packers are going to ask for, the Jets are determined to get this done. It's stupid. Go fuck yourself. I hate you, Aaron Rodgers. I like you way better when you're in the NFC. I hate this.
I like that. Go fuck
The
yourself,
Bills
Aaron
suck.
Rodgers.
We should trade Josh Allen for Lamar Jackson. That's what I'm on. I'm on that shit. I'm
That's
still
right.
on that shit
You were
for
saying
yesterday.
that. Let's do it. That's
what I
Start a
wanna do.
petition.
I like how you just agree, right? You don't know, but like these people out there would hate it.
Why? I would agree
There's
with
a lot
you.
of Bills fans that are tripping on that, and then pay Lamar more. That's what I'm on. I'm on that. I think that's
Pay him
the
more.
move. Well, you got to pay him. You're gonna pay him more than Josh because he wants more. But that's why you can give Josh to Baltimore because Josh is locked up. Josh is as good, if not arguably better than Lamar. There's an argument that can be made because Lamar gets hurt. Josh doesn't really get hurt. Josh puts up the stats. You can make the argument. Josh is locked up for 5-6 more years. So you can make the argument that Baltimore could do that deal. But I personally feel like Lamar is a better quarterback than Josh Allen. But I understand that Aaron Rodgers is a multiple-time MVP and has won a Super Bowl. They could come into the Jets and make a team that's young and hungry and loose because they're naive and they're not beaten down with years of losing and injuries. They're just off the leash. They can be fucking dangerous. I don't need that shit in my division. I need that to go away. It's bad enough we got to deal with KC. Did we lose our?
No, we're good.
We're good.
I thought we lost
we got to deal with KC. We got to deal with Cincy in these other divisions. We're getting rid of Lamar. He's leaving Baltimore. Hopefully to the NFC. Don't bring it, Aaron Rodgers. Leave it alone. Let the NFC get good again. The NFC has no quarterbacks. There's nobody there. That's Josh Allen. We would win the NFC every year and go to the Super Bowl. There's nobody there. There's Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray. There's nobody over there. There's a multitude of just
makes me sad.
just axe murderers in the AFC. So we don't need to bring Aaron Rodgers, but the Jets are gonna. So the Jets are gonna have Aaron Rodgers. So that's gonna be a game changer for them. And who knows what they're gonna give up? But they're gonna give up a lot of money, and they're gonna add some years to that contract, which I think has only just 1 year left.
Just 1 year. For who? 1 year for who?
For Rodgers.
For Rodgers. Okay.
On the Green Bay deal, but he's going to get traded. It's going to be a sign and trade, I'm sure of it. Or they're going to have a deal worked out because he's going to want an extension with money. Why would the Jets give up a bunch if Rodgers is not going to sign? Because then he obviously has no intention of coming back, right? If they've got him under money and he has like a ridiculous season, which he's not going to want to screw up his legacy. He's still Aaron Rodgers, even if he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the regular season because he's rich and older and he's done it before, right? You don't really care about that. You care that in the second half of the season, going into the playoffs, and in the playoffs, that he's Aaron Rodgers, and you hope that he can show out and let people know that, like in that past generation with Brady, Rodgers was arguably the second best quarterback because, I mean, that's the legacy that he has, and that's a pretty fucking heavy legacy to carry around. So you don't want to be ruining that. And he's not a knucklehead. He's just ambivalent about responsibility and being a quarterback who's also like a role model for work ethic and showing up first and going home last.
But he's not doing any of that.
He's just doesn't do it. No, that's what I mean. He's not a role model for that.
Yeah.
Even though quarterbacks are kind of looked at by default to be that, he's really not that. He's kind of more of a flighty, like.
I understand that.
Yeah,
I understand that.
He's fine. I like Aaron Rodgers if he's in the NFC. If he's on the Jets, he'll fuck himself. But right now, I don't. Whatever he can. So Derek Carr left the AFC. Not that Derek Carr is much of a threat, but Derek Carr smartly using his noggin, using the big brain that Derek Carr I'm sure has, with where all the money was as well. But going to a division where he can actually look like a rock star. So going to the Saints, where they're going to have to restructure Michael Thomas, who's not near the receiver that he once was a few years ago. But they got Chris Olave. Kamara's on the downswing, I think, of a career too. But the Saints still have lots of pieces. They've been in a rebuild. And Carr's going to look like a stud because everybody else in that NFC South is garbage. There's no quarterback in Tampa. Tampa's got Kyle Trask right now. Like, Tampa might get a quarterback. There's quarterbacks available. Tampa might still get a QB, whether it's from the draft or from free agency, but they might just roll with Trask and decide, like, we won a Super Bowl a couple years ago with Brady. Maybe it's time we just rebuild and reset everything, and we'll see what we got in Kyle. And that's very possible. That might happen in Tampa Bay. Atlanta's got what? As of right now, they've showed no interest in Lamar. So no interest in Lamar. They did make a move on Rodgers. Not that probably Green Bay was going to send him to Atlanta, but they made no move on Lamar, which he would have went to Atlanta, I'm sure, and listened to Atlanta for sure. Like, he'd be a rock star in Atlanta. Yeah. But they didn't. So they're rocking with Desmond Ridder, it seems like. That's what it seems like in Atlanta.
Is there anybody hot for Lamar right now?
Well, we talked about that yesterday, and it doesn't seem like it as of right now. Yes. But I mean, that could be people just not wanting to show their hand publicly. I don't know why you wouldn't, because we talked about this yesterday. So, like, I don't know why you would. But let's finish with Carr here, and we'll talk about Lamar. So, like, and then the Panthers, which is the fourth team in that division, other than the Saints and the Bucks and the Falcons. The Panthers got that number 1 overall pick from Chicago. So they're going to pick a quarterback this year. They've got nobody there. It doesn't matter if it's Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. He's not going to outplay Derek Carr. So Carr's going to go into a situation in New Orleans where he could win a division just based on the division being so bad this year. Projected right now as of today. So Carr made a good decision because Carr was in Oakland. Or I always call him Oakland. Was in Vegas.
That's how I know him, Oakland.
It's fucking Oakland, Vegas, whatever. It's in Vegas. But it's a killing field there. Playing the Chiefs and playing the Chargers. Even the Broncos are not an easy game. As much as people clown on Wilson for last year. You know, like, now they've got Sean Payton at coach. They're not a clown team in Denver. Denver's still a pretty strong fucking franchise to go up against. There's a lot of, that's 6 games against beaters, absolute beaters. So for Carr to get out of there and Carr to go to a franchise in a division in a clear rebuild on all levels at every team in some different stage of a rebuild right now, in year 2 or year 3 of a rebuild. Panthers on year 1, it looks like, almost again, of a rebuild. This is a smart move by Carr. So anyways, Lamar, I think teams got to be just being quiet on it and not wanting to show their hand. How can you not be interested? Guys, it reigning or not reigning, but like an MVP 3 years ago. He's only like 24. Sure, he's had 2 injuries. Like I said, unless everyone in the world knows that both of those injuries were him choosing to sit out and like making that as a cognizant, like, negotiating ploy rather than being actually hurt to end these last 2 seasons, that's the only reason I could see why you wouldn't be willing to give him $200 million guaranteed. Because if it's just injuries, who cares? Stop making him run for 1,000 yards. Let him run when he needs to. Give him players around him. He's a good enough throwing quarterback. He can still be a top 5 quarterback in yards and touchdowns every year of his career without having to worry about him running for 1,000 yards and breaking a knee or breaking an ankle or a foot or a toe or whatever it happens to be. You don't have to worry about that because you're not asking him to do that like Baltimore was. But to not give him that money, I would see if he was one-dimensional, where all he could do was run, and we're seeing the injuries rack up. And it's like, well, he can't really throw. He's not like a pocket passer. He can't, right? And it's like, touche. We shouldn't pay him because all he does is be mobile, and all he does when he's mobile is eventually get hurt again and then miss time. But Lamar gets hurt because y'all suck in Baltimore and put nothing around him. But he's so good, he'll take it on his shoulders and do it himself. If he can't find someone to get it to, he'll take it on his own and do something with it 9 times out of 10. But you rack up some residual damage. But he can play if he just pulls back, plays in the pocket, and doesn't have to worry about constantly making everything happen on his own. So those injuries would probably go away. But if you know those 2 injuries were more negotiating ploys than they were legitimate injuries, because they both kind of happened at the same time, and they both rode out through the end of the year when both times the narrative, with like 3 or so weeks left, was that he was coming back, and both times never did. And you wonder if it's like, I'm not getting any guaranteed money and I'm getting a little banged up, pay me a little bit. Pay me.
Could be that, yeah.
And if it's that, then I could see why teams wouldn't be interested.
Right.
So Lamar,
Playing shady.
if that's the case, that's bad character.
Yeah,
But I would hate to think that that's him. Because Lamar, to me, strikes me as a guy trying to win. I would like to think both injuries were just real injuries, hampered him. You thought it was going to be a smaller timeline. You said we were going to be back week 14, 15. That never materialized. And it was just coincidence that it happened 2 seasons in a row. Like, don't you think he would have got paid more if he would have stayed in and won a couple of playoff games or potentially won a Super Bowl? Of course he would have. So he would have got that money that he wants guaranteed. Now he would have got that guaranteed money guaranteed, because there would have been no questions if you should have paid him, if he would have went in and beat Mahomes or Burrow or Allen in the playoffs a couple of years in a row. So he wanted to be there, I got to imagine. So if I was a team, and I think his character's good, if he's got good ethics, I'd be wanting to pay him and bring him in. The fact that Baltimore's letting him go, I think, is ridiculous. I think it's silly. I think to have a guy with his talent and to not just put people around him and pay him seems silly to me. But he's going somewhere eventually. He's gonna.
I wonder where.
That relationship's got to be ruined in Baltimore. How do you even go back to that?
I don't think you can go back.
Your relationship's not ruined is Geno in Seattle, because Geno in Seattle, not only did he have a bounce back year for his career, a year that, and people forget that Geno early in his career was fairly successful. He had a couple of good seasons where he showed signs of being this prospect that was a pretty bright prospect. He was the number 2 quarterback gone in his draft class the year that he went. Geno last year in Seattle, bounce back. Seahawks not expecting to make the playoffs. Geno re-signs in Seattle, putting up like 3 years, $100 million, something like that. Geno's smart though. What was holding the clipboard a few years ago, didn't bite the hand that feeds him, got a little bit of a rebirth in the sense that he was given a second opportunity at life in the NFL, took advantage of it, won the job, beat Drew Lock last year, made the playoffs as the Seahawks starting quarterback, and got paid, and then decided to stay in Seattle, and said if the Seahawks even draft a quarterback, because I've seen Pete Carroll, coach of the Seahawks, say they might draft a quarterback at 5, because they got that pick at 5, even though they made the playoffs. They've had some trades that have picked up some picks. So they got a pick at 5. They've even said, we're not adverse to not drafting a quarterback. So they might still be looking at the Anthony Richardsons of the world or Will Levis of the world that are still left on the board at quarterback at 5. And what did Geno Smith say after Geno got signed the contract? And they asked him, well, what if they bring in a quarterback at 5? He said, I'm fine competing with the kid for the job, and if he beats me for the job, I'm fine mentoring the kid. It's that attitude with a guy who doesn't.
That's a fine attitude to have.
Team player.
Yeah,
Geno Smith's going to be a hell of an NFL coach someday. I don't know if he aspires to do that. It seems like he does, based on the way he kind of adapted to that backup quarterback role fairly early in his career, given some injuries and a little bit of string of bad luck and some false starts a few times where he had, like I said, he had a career that looked like it was going to take off early. Some false starts, didn't work out. Was what it was. But Geno took on that role of being a backup quarterback, holding the clipboard and kind of being a sideline navigator and a mentor for the guy that was really on the field, and like the go-between between the coaches and him, and just kind of being that guy's level head and another set of eyes and a trustworthy fucking confidant, which is difficult, I'm sure, to get in like a dog-eat-dog type of thing, like quarterback, where there's only one guy that gets to be on the field. Geno did a good job of really being a trustworthy guy for Russ and for all that for in Seattle. And I think you can see that Geno's just kind of mature beyond. When you say mature beyond his years, he's like a 30-year-old man now. So he's not mature beyond his years, but he's a very mature football player who doesn't just play with the bravado and the size and all that. He's got
thinker,
very smart, and he's smart enough to know where the bread's buttered. And I like Geno Smith. I like to see him have some success here in the middle of a career that looked like it was never going to get any spotlight. He was going to go under the radar and be effective and be a sideline guy, be a second quarterback to a guy that was probably a really good starter, and come in on the occasional game when a guy was a bit like what happened with Seattle last year and got this opportunity. And I mean, he really showed what he was made of, and like really had that team rally around him, and they made the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. and he got this quarterback or this money to be the starting quarterback for the next couple of years, and still says all the right things. So I like Geno. Geno's excellent. Daniel Jones, same thing with the Giants. I'm not sure I would have signed Jones to this big of a deal. Kind of big, 4 years, $160. A lot of money for a guy who still hasn't thrown like 20-some touchdowns other than the first season of his career. Giants didn't know what else to do.
$160 million, huh?
Right. Giants didn't know what else to do. Like, if they would have tagged Jones, which they probably should have done, they would have tagged Jones and would have had to let Barkley go, Saquon, the running back. But they wanted to keep Saquon as well, and they didn't want to pay Saquon, which maybe they should have in retrospect, just because Saquon has kind of done more for the franchise in the long run than Jones has. But Jones had a good season again, an NFC team that kind of snuck into the playoffs when nobody thought they were going to be any good, and then picked up a playoff win. Daniel Jones had a hell of a rushing season, not a very good throwing quarterback. I wouldn't have paid him that much money, but I guess the Giants wanted to keep it all together. Maybe they think they got something here.
Maybe.
They think they got something here. So, Stafford, your guy, sounds like he might be on the go.
Yeah, Stafford for the Rams.
Sounds like he might be on the go.
Where's he going, though?
They don't want to pay it.
Out to pasture.
Before the end of next week, right? He's owed like $57 million. If they get rid of him, it's like 44 in the books for this year, and then it's over with. So he's got a few years left. He's an old 35. So we'll see. He's a really old 35 years old. He's got a lot of miles.
You suck. Come on. You can be the next Brady,
I
bro.
heard Mayfield might be going. I heard Mayfield might go somewhere. Wasn't anywhere fantastic.
Ouch.
Wasn't anywhere fantastic.
Ouch. You don't even know.
And then Jimmy G is still up in the air. So lots of stuff going on.
Jimmy G. I like Jimmy G. He's a good guy.
That's it. That's all for me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Peace.
Peace.